Welcome to episode number 50 of the Let's Discuss Gaming podcast. I am your host, Triple J. Joining me is my co-host, Dr. Games 101.
What's going on, guys?
Don't expect a super long episode tonight. We don't have as much news like we've had for the last 3 or 4 episodes, but we do got a bunch of news to talk about. So I say, why not get started?
Indeed.
All right, first story. New Evil West trailer showcases more than 10 minutes of rootin' tootin' action. Evil West is the upcoming Wild West action game from developer Flying Wild Hog, the studio behind the fast-paced Shadow Warrior series, and it's due out this September. It got an excellent trailer during both the Game Awards 2020 and the Game Awards 2021, as well as a new look during the past few weeks of video game showcases. Now it's back with a new trailer that highlights more than 10 minutes of rootin' tootin' Western action with plenty of vampires, of course, and it looks like a great time. If you've kept up with Evil West, then you likely already know its combat resembles that of 2018's God of War with the additional bonus of guns. It's just as brutal with even more exploding gore. This trailer showcases a lot more of that and a wide variation of biomes we'll be visiting too, from western frontiers to strange caverns to foggy forest and more. As you can see, Evil West is looking like a fun time, and I can't wait to check it out. If you're unfamiliar with its premise, Flying Wild Hog describes it as a third-person action game that puts you in the boots of a vampire hunter rescuing a Wild West devoured by darkness. Flying Wild Hog will release Evil West on PS5, Xbox Series, PS4, Xbox One, and PC on September 20th. Are you excited to check out Evil West this September?
Sorry about that, guys. I got a few problems in my room right now. So what you were saying for the last minute or two, yes, I actually saw the trailer of Evil West Triple J, and not only the one from earlier back in June, but also the one back in that came out back 10 days ago for the PS4 and PS5 showcase, or the 10-minute viewing of the matter. It was all right. Looks something that, like I said, out of God of War, the way it looks in a similar setting. Just like it's more involved with guns, weapons like that of a flamethrower, perhaps the grenade launcher. I think it's something like that in the game, and some electrocution, like an electric rod or electric device where you shock your opponents. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, it looks like a fun game if you want, I did see a trailer on YouTube as an advertisement. It looks like it's a top-down view game, and you just see, like, I guess vampires coming from like all sides, and you're just shooting them all. And it looks like, I guess, the kind of game I'd want to play.
Yep. Oh yeah.
I don't know if it'll be on Game Pass day one, but
and we're not sure if it's going to have microtransactions, especially if it's a single player game like that of Devil May Cry 5's release, as you can tell with that game.
Yeah, so we still don't know a lot more about it. We don't know the story yet, other than that little bit we covered just now. But the gameplay is most important, and it looks like if you like just killing a bunch army of enemies, this is a game you'll enjoy. Anything else to add, or ready to move on?
I just want to say, though, that there's a possibility they're going to add microtransactions to that game, Evil West. There's a possibility, a good possibility, because now it's like a mainstream shtick for most of today's gaming for how many years now, and I have to say, though, from what I heard from the God of War 2018 reboot, I heard that didn't have microtransactions per se, so I'm glad it didn't do it back then. But Devil May Cry 5 had a moment, or actually was shown how many days after release, that you have to pay more red orbs in order to beat the game easier or more efficiently. Because if you try to take your time with it, like I did with Mission 8 on Dante Must Die mode, it took me about 6 months on and off to try to beat the level, because I wanted to accumulate as many gold orbs as possible and make it easier on my part, but that's every time to log in and play after the fact. So it's not the same way once was back with when you log in with Devil May Cry 5. So hopefully Evil West will have like some sort of like login bonus to make up for the microtransaction nonsense. So hopefully, let's keep our
That
fingers crossed.
but then again, this is all speculation about the microtransactions.
Oh yeah,
There's a good chance, but to say it's definitely gonna have microtransactions, we don't know that.
well, like the previous games that came out, look at what happened like with Diablo, with what's that other
Yeah,
game?
but I mean, the developer, Flying Hog or whatever they are, um, I can't even name another game that they've done if they've done another game in the past, so we don't really know.
Right.
So I mean, it might have microtransactions. I hope it doesn't, but I guess we'll see.
Yes.
When it comes out around the third week of September.
Oh, yeah, December 20th, if I remember correctly, not December
Yeah,
22nd.
the 20th.
Mm-hmm.
Ready to move on?
Yep.
Okay. Forgot to show the article last time, so I'll try to make sure to do that this time. Next
Mm-hmm.
story. Developer admits, and we have a continuation of this one as the next article after it. Developer admits there's no way to complete Knights of the Old Republic 2 on Switch. Update only affects some players. Um, let's see. The update from June 22nd. Aspio recently followed up on this situation, telling Stephen Totillo of Axios that only affects a small number of Knights of the Old Republic 2 players. The studio also shared a workaround in the form of a depth warp that bypasses the spot where the game crashes. This is the original situation. The developer porter behind the recent release of Knights of the Old Republic 2 on Nintendo Switch has tweeted that it's aware the game is currently impossible to finish. The Austin-based Aspyr made its name porting classic games to new systems, most recently bringing a slew of Star Wars titles to the Switch. The most recent of these is the achingly named but utterly wonderful Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2: The Sith Lords, released a couple of weeks ago. But after some pressing from a customer, the studio acknowledged it's aware that the game is presently bugged, such that it cannot be completed on Nintendo's handheld. They said, "Yes, we are aware. Yes, we are aware, and our dev team is working on delivering the patch as soon as possible. We apologize for the inconvenience and appreciate your patience in the meantime." It was an impressive effort from Daniel Moore, who first asked if the company was aware. I just read Aspyr's response. Um, then it appears the game crashes after playing the Basilisk's crash cutscene shown when players arrive on Onderon, which very troublingly is about halfway through the game. It raises some rather significant questions about the QA on the game, that it could be certified and released in a form impossible to finish. There's also the question of for how long Aspyr has been aware its product had a game-breaking bug that affects all players but haven't communicated this to potential and current customers. We've contacted Aspyr to ask these questions. Nintendo can be particularly difficult when it comes to releasing patches for games which will add to the delay before this is fixed. But crikey, what a mistake to have made. Albeit a strangely fitting one given the bug-ridden history of this 2004 game. Certainly worth holding off picking up this wonderful Obsidian RPG until there's better news. So, we'll get to the update because there's another update on top of that. But what do you think about Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2? A game that's about 20 years old, having a game-breaking glitch.
Well, it's on the Nintendo Switch only, so that's okay because I can survive without the Switch's version. But with Knights of the Old Republic, I heard good things about the game for how many years easily. I did have a copy of it, at least one, if not the first, at least the first one, if not the second one. Was part of the Games with Gold at the time. Unfortunately, I never got to play it with you guys, or let alone play it on my own time. I will admit that. I have so many games to try to keep track of, and Evil West is one of them as of recently. But I heard, like I said, if they come out with like a double pack or or perhaps some sort of like Knights of the Old Republic 1 remake first, and then do something with the second one later on. That'd be great, you know. But at this rate, it's only just for the second one, right?
Yeah, this is only affecting the second game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. It's just kind of. I don't like this because this is what can not kill a console but hurt a console.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we had this problem with WW 2K18. A great game on the Switch, it's unplayable. I mean, the slowdown is it's basically if you have more than two, if you play anything other than a singles match, you're basically playing the game in slow motion.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like, yeah, how did quality assurance not catch this? It's not like it's the very end of the game. It's only like the halfway marker of the game.
Mm-hmm.
So how did they not, how did they not catch this? And also, they're not, before someone brought it up to Aspire, they said they did admit that they were aware of the bug, but they weren't telling anyone about it. So they were allowing people to order the game thinking, hey, if we just keep quiet, maybe we can fix it in the... Come in?
Sorry about that.
Hold on, I think someone's... Okay, thought someone was at my door. Turns out I was wrong.
No, that was my phone. We hear that noise.
No, it sounded like a thump. Like...
Okay.
Oh, that was a firework.
Yeah, it was his 4th of July weekend, so...
Yeah. Anyway, the problem is, Aspire, like they said, they were aware of this, but they were kind of keeping people in the dark, hoping, I guess, they could fix it before too many people would find out. But that's kind of scummy, because you're allowing people, allowing customers to think, hey, this game is fine, it's ready to be released, it's ready to be bought, and you're not telling anyone there's a game-breaking bug halfway through. They sure brought it up as soon as they knew about it and said, but we are working on fixing the game as soon as possible. Not waiting till a customer brought it up to their attention.
Yeah.
Like I said, the whole problem is they knew about it and they didn't say anything.
Well, I mean, if they have time to fix it still, right? When is it coming out, the remake altogether?
It did come out.
Already?
That's how customers found out about it.
Wait, they already came out with it so soon? Well,
Yeah.
I could have sworn. I know I haven't kept track of fully with the news. I will admit that for the last week and a half, 2 weeks now. But I wasn't expecting it so soon because, like I said, with these problems. So they knew about that for months, if not years. I heard about these things where Knights of the Old Republic had the problems trying to find people together and fixing the Switch and all, but that's about it. That was like back, 6 months ago? But you tell me it's out soon? Oh, wow, right now? Like, man, I'm definitely having a hard time keeping track of everything. Because as an adult, you got other things to do, so...
Hey, you want to hear the continuation of the story? Because like I said, there's more.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Okay, I had it. Hold on, I accidentally closed it. I thought it was the old one, but... Yes, this is the update. Okay. Or the latest update that I have.
Right.
Knights of the Old Republic 2 on Switch is officially fixed for real now. Kinda. Sorta. So, yesterday, the studio behind the Nintendo Switch port of Knights of the Old Republic 2, The Sith Lords, announced that it's finally fixed a game-breaking bug that had previously rendered the game impossible to finish. Previously, those who bought the port of the Obsidian Star Wars RPG were forced to cheat their way past game-crashing cutscenes. This was resolved via an in-game cheat menu, but it was still a band-aid solution at best. Kotaku attempted to use this method to skip past a game-breaking cutscene at the end of a late-game quest line, but boarding the ship would just cause the game to crash again, but rejoice the buggy cutscenes have finally been fixed. Sort of. Wow, that was a big firework. After updating the game, I was finally able to play the previously problematic cutscenes without being ejected to my Switch home screen. There's one caveat though. King of Knights of the Old Republic 2 has a special ability that increases your movement speed, and it's indispensable for a game that forces you to traverse quite a bit of empty space. The trade-off is that the game forces a blurry filter over your screen while the skill is active. The new patch may have fixed the cutscenes, but it makes it so that these blurry filters carry over to said cutscenes, so you get gross-looking screenshots like this. Knights of the Old Republic 2 has a lot of cinematic scenes that automatically play when you cross an invisible boundary, so you really can't turn off the filter manually when they start playing. The blurriness stops after the skill duration has elapsed, but has arguably made any experience a little bit worse. But hey, at least I can get around to other planets now. Did Aspyr knowingly release an unfinishable game? Yes. Am I annoyed? Also yes. I recognize that the vanilla version of the Knights of the Old Republic 2 was also released in a broken and buggy state. Maybe it's one of those games that's always doomed to imperfection. In any case, I recommend keeping multiple save backups just in case more horrible bugs await you at the very end of the game. So, with solutions come more problems. And, now, like they said, the original game, when it first came out, like in the early 2000s, had its own problems itself. But, I mean, I don't know if you saw it on your end, but if you didn't, I'll just describe it. The cutscenes look like they were from an N64 game with the blurriness. That's how impactful this update was that fixes the game-breaking cutscenes or game-breaking glitches. Do you have anything to say about that?
Well, I'm kind of confused on when it was released officially. Are we talking about the remake that was already released to the public for the PS4 and Xbox One and Xbox Series PS5?
I don't know. This is just about the Switch version.
Okay, because you confused me because you tell me it came out already. If you're referring to the
Yes.
original games that came out back in 2003, 2004, yes, you're right. But I'm talking about the remake is already out. Am I asking us? That's a simple question I'm asking.
And what I'm saying is, as far at least the port for the Switch is out.
So they released that early, and not the other outlets, and not for the other systems.
If they did, if it is out for the other systems, I don't know about that. But
I don't see nothing regarding about that, James, with Triple J. And I mean, it's kind of frustrating on our part because it's like, wait a second, like the Knights of the Old Republic 2 is supposed to be in the making right now, the remake version at least that, and what you're explaining is maybe something similar to that of the expansion packs that are coming out over the last few years. Though the newest one was for February of 2022. So if you're referring to that kind of matter, then I can understand that. But other than that, the remake itself of the full game remake of Knights of the Old Republic 2, if not the Knights of the Old Republic remake by itself, of the first one, okay, it's still gonna be it's still being in the making for that matter.
Apparently, I googled it. I can't tell if this is for other systems too, but the remake came out for the Switch on June 8th.
June 8th, 2022.
Yeah,
and you were talking about the first one or the second one?
it's the second one. Knights of the Old Republic 2.
Okay. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, if I sound confused at first, because, like I said, we just saw like footage, or at least not rumors, but like actual articles, like you mentioned, just now, that they're still in the making back earlier this year. And I'm like, this is way too early for them to release it, especially for the Switch, because they know that Switch is one of the least powerful among the three consoles.
Yeah, but it's also it's more current than the PS4 and Xbox One, and the Switch is only at best halfway through its life cycle.
That's kind of strange though, because I'm seeing news about it. They're saying that it's on the Switch port, like you said, so that's a good thing at first. But it's so early. It just doesn't make any sense for them to do that and then release it on June 8th of all time. Oh man,
Yep, came out less than a
I don't
month ago.
understand. I don't understand the game industry right now. Like they just throwing in half-ass, giving confusing stories or confusing articles or confusing news about what they're gonna do with the remakes, and all of a sudden, months later, I find out that, some of it's still in the making and it's only available on the Switch. This doesn't make any sense. Like there's a lot of miscommunication going on with want what they want for us fans to. Because I could have bought it myself right now for the Xbox One if it's already out for the Xbox, but I don't know, man. It's something's fishy about this matter.
You know what? Let me check that. Uh, Let me see if, because it might just be the Switch. It just might be the Switch that's out. The Xbox One and PS4
Here's
might.
the article I'm referring to that says June 8th, like you said before. So posted in Discord.
You don't have to send it because I saw that one.
Okay.
I looked for the Xbox One release date, and it's just giving me the date of the original Xbox.
Okay.
So, um, uh, there's the new Knights of the Republic. Uh, yeah, I can't find any details, either yes or no. So,
Okay.
all right. So, ready to move on?
Yep.
Okay. Let me do this. Next, new Xbox Game Pass games for June include FIFA 22 and Far Cry 5. Microsoft is finishing out the rest of June with several more games for its subscription service. The next round of Xbox Game Pass games has been announced, and they include a few heavy hitters to finish out the month of June. You can ring in the official start of summer with classic strategy and tactical series, a quick game of footy, or by infiltrating an extremist cult. As previously announced, the tactical RPG series Shadowrun Trilogy is available starting on the 21st of June. Joined by the strategy series Total War Three Kingdoms on the PC service. Then on the 23rd, you could grab the soccer sim FIFA 22 and the multiplayer action combat game Narek Blade Point. Finally, on July 1st, which was yesterday, Far Cry 5 will join the service. We can expect another announcement in early July, which will likely outline the first half of that month's offerings. The announcement also notes, just in case you missed it, that Shredder's Revenge is now available, along with the adventure game Amori. Meanwhile, a number of games will be leaving at the end of June, including FIFA 20 and Jurassic World Evolution. The games they're talking about that left this past Thursday. So we already talked about the games that came. I also, since they bought it up, I'm also going to go over the titles that left this past Thursday. The titles that left are no longer there: FIFA 20, Jurassic World Evolution, Last Stop, and MotoGP 20. So, I don't know about you. Are you excited to play like Far Cry 5 on Game Pass?
I've already got a bundle that I spent $45 of Far Cry 3, 4, 5, and 6. 4 games for.
Really? Even 6?
Yep, all for $45. And
Damn, because like 6 is still pretty expensive by itself, at least from what I could find online.
they had a sale going on last month. I bought it.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it was a bundle, and I got it for $45 for 4 of them. I already got Far Cry 3 for months, if not a year. I bought it for about $3-4 last year. I finally played Far Cry 3, as you can tell, with my gameplay on my YouTube channel for about an hour. That was all right. I'll try to play more of it sometime this month, especially during the summertime. And I guess you could say a bit of more than I could chew right now, because Far Cry 6 is it's by itself is a big game. I heard it's about 130, if not 125. So
I don't remember the
gigabytes.
file size, but I think it is a big game.
Oh yeah.
I played it over gameplay weekend. I made like 3 different videos on it. They're on my BitChute, and I think they're on Rumble too.
Mm-hmm.
Far Cry 6 I really like. Far Cry 3 I kind of never got back to because I got stuck on it. like after you rescue your first friend, I don't know if you made it this far or not. After you rescue your first friend, they happen to be running a fever, so like you have to get some herbs to cure your friend, and then that sent you like to this underground, underwater, or this water filled cave that's like underground, and I couldn't figure out where to go from there,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where I left off. But yeah, Far Cry 6, with how much I really like Far Cry 6, if Far Cry 5 plays the same way,
Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna like Far Cry 5.
All right.
The other games, honestly, not too interested in.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, the great thing about Game Pass is there's so many other games on there that I haven't had time to play all the games I'm interested in,
Right.
and I've even played a few clunkers as well. But yeah, so Far Cry 5, Shadow One trilogy, FIFA 22, they're all live on Game Pass right now. Ready
Okay.
to move on?
Yeah.
All right, hold on. Okay, next. Tony Hawk says Activision killed plans for more Tony Hawk Pro Skater games. Remakes of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 were planned at some point until publisher Activision pulled the plug. This news comes from Tony Hawk himself, who discussed the series with streamer Andy THPS. According to Hawk, the plan was to develop remakes for 3 and 4 following the release of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 remake, which I have for the PSP. That plan, however, got complicated. Actually, I think I'm thinking of something else with the PSP, so scratch that.
Okay.
That plan, however, got complicated after Activision merged 1 and 2 developer Vicarious Visions into Blizzard. The truth of it is that they were trying to find someone to do Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4, but they just didn't really trust anyone the way they did Vicarious. So they took other pitches from other studios, Hawk says in the clip. Like, what would you do with a Tony Hawk Pro Skater title? And they didn't like anything they heard, and then that was it.
Hmm.
At the very least, it sounds like Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4 was actively in development, as Hawk says in the clip. It was planned, and he never indicates it was in production. Anyway. More curious is Activision's interest in taking the series in new directions. Historically, that's been a bad idea. The news is particularly painful because after a drought of skateboarding games, the excellent Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 seemed to indicate the king of action sports was back. Uh, the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater franchise may once again have had a bright future thanks to this terrific blast from the past. Alas, history proves otherwise. But actually, skateboarding games have had a renaissance in recent years. Of course, there's Vicarious Visions' Tony Hawk's Pro Skater reboot. There's also Ollie Ollie World, Skate City Session, and Skater XL. So, what do you think of the merger? Basically, killing the Tony Hawk, killing the remakes for the Tony Hawk Pro Skater games.
Now, if you can clarify with me what happened with Activision exactly, like that, because due to the fact that when Microsoft bought Activision Blizzard, that's when they kind of screwed up on the Tony Hawk games, remakes
Uh, what
especially.
happened? What happened is Vicarious Visions developed the remake of 1 and 2.
Okay.
When Vicarious Visions merged with Blizzard, they were looking for someone else to do the game because Blizzard, I guess, was just going to be the publisher. I
Okay.
guess maybe Vicarious Visions shut down. I don't know. They did merge, so usually, and they tried to find another developer, and every developer they interviewed, they didn't like the ideas they heard, so they just said, "Fuck it, we're killing the reboot."
Hmm. Interesting. All right. Because what they should have done, uh, Activision or Vicarious, whoever was in charge at the time, they should have done a trilogy remake, or at least remake the first two and have an HD port for Tony Hawk 3. Because could they put those all three first three games together, that would be a great, uh, asset, a good collectible right there. But I guess if they think about more about dividing between 1, 2, 3, and 4, 1, 2 first and 3, 4. So it makes sense at first, but if they really want that long-term sales, Activision, Vicarious, and perhaps even Neversoft maybe have their hand in because they did make the Tony Hawk 3 game, especially. That'll be a longer, uh, prolonged offer of having a trilogy pack for the Xbox and PS4. So
Yeah, I just want to bring this up because we talked about it when Darkness the Curse joined us
oh yeah,
back in November of, I think, 2020.
mm-hmm, you're right.
Um, we were talking about unfinished games like that, like Tony Hawk Pro Skater 5, and he said like the whole game is basically just a patch. Yeah, the only in Tony Hawk 5 you can only fit if you have Tony Hawk 5, but you don't have the patch. All you can do is play the skate editor,
Wow.
like the editing part. That's if you want to play any other part of the game, you need the patch. I think things like that is what made the Tony Hawk franchise is what helped kill it basically.
And this is another final nail in the coffin. What they should have done beforehand.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah. So it looks like if you were waiting for Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4 to be like the 1 and 2 remake we got, it looks like it might. It looks like it might not be coming at all.
Huh? Huh. I'm sure games like Skatebird. I never played Skatebird yet, but that's another add-on that happened.
One moment. Okay, go on.
I was going to say, Triple J, is that if they games like there's newer game out there. I think it's been out for at least a few months now called Skatebird. It's something for the kids to look at. That's good. That's a good intro into skateboarding and extreme sports. So I never played the game yet. I downloaded it and I haven't just to play it yet. But it looks like it's decent for kids to play. And they'll later on go into the Skate 1, Skate 2, Skate 3 games and Tony Hawk especially. So.
Yeah, it's just Tony Hawk had the name recognition of any other skateboarding title, and it's just a shame because it looked like with these remakes, that was going to be what we needed to put the Tony Hawk series back on track.
Unless they bring the number 2 guy, if I like to call him, called Bucky Lassick. He's a skateboarder as well from the 90s, just like Tony Hawk.
Yeah, but he doesn't have the same name recognition as Tony Hawk.
But he's like the second best player I heard, or the second best skater for that particular games. Like there's
I never heard of him, so
so but so Bucky Lassick, if I pronounce his name properly, he's a skater from the they kind of invigorate his reputation. Oh, mainstream his reputation through a couple of skateboarding games. If I recall correctly, it's called the first one was Street Skater. It's Street Skater 2. That game came out back in '99, 2000, give or take, and he was featured in that game, if I recall correctly. If not, he was a Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3. So my memory is a little fuzzy. It's it's a little clouded right now. But if I go back into my games one day and see this stuff, and I'll be okay, that's Bucky Lassick. I remember correctly, because he's like the second. He's the second most popular, if not at least the second most well mentioned skater back then. So,
right. Well, like I said, unfortunately, it looks like the Tony Hawk franchise is dead, and the awful games like Tony Hawk Ride and Tony Hawk 5 played a big part in that.
Oh yeah.
Ready to move on?
I heard bad things about Tony Hawk 5, but I didn't know it was that bad, which you just mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
All right, ready to move on.
All right. Next, Microsoft confirms Xbox controller shortages. Microsoft has confirmed that supply disruptions have caused shortages of Xbox controllers in countries across the globe. In a statement to VGC, Microsoft said, "We know it might be hard finding Xbox wireless controllers right now due to supply disruption. We're working as fast as possible with our manufacturing and retail partners to improve this. Please check with your local retailers for availability." As noted in the VGC report, multiple retailers across a variety of regions are currently completely sold out of official Xbox wireless controllers. The situation seems prevalent across Europe, with Xbox users on Lastlaria reporting that controllers are tough to come across in France, the Netherlands, Germany, and the UK. Austrian fans also seem to be having problems, while in the US, only pre owned controllers can be found on Amazon US and GameStop. Amazon UK currently has stock of the standard carbon black controller, but no other options are available. Over on the UK Microsoft store, all colors are out of stock. Console shortages have been commonplace since the new generation of Xbox and PlayStation launched, which has even reportedly prompted Sony to make more PS4s than they planned. But generally speaking, peripherals have been easy to buy. Microsoft's statement does not point to the root issue that is disrupting supply, but hopefully this is a temporary hiccup rather than a sign of wider supply issues on the horizon.
Hmm.
So, what do you think of the fact that it's hard to find new Xbox One controllers?
I was not well aware of this matter and this specific. Now I do know that a reason why games or systems like PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series S and X are currently not are currently short staffed or short in supply have been since 2020 because of the disruption of and the height of the pandemic back in March of 2020. During March of 2020, we had a 2 week shutdown of the entire state of New York, and whoever's willfully accepted that loss for that to last. And that moment or those moments throughout that 2020-21 period created disruption in chip shortages for the cars, for the electronics, including Xbox and PS5s. So, and I was expecting the Xbox controllers to have a problem too, because yes, they do have a computer chip or some computer programs or programming that does have to connect to the Xbox system because of the fact that it's updated itself every few months to a couple of years, depending upon how well maintained, if not how old recent the controller is. So if you have the Xbox Core controller instead of the Xbox One controller, the Xbox Core controller will give you better performance. And I did not know that if it involves the core controllers, that would be a big problem on their part. So, but what Microsoft, specifically Microsoft for them, what they can do is resell the old controllers, the Xbox One controllers that is for the Xbox One console, and that will greatly help maintain their sales.
Well, they're not saying that it's hard to find controllers, period. It's hard to find new controllers.
But the brand new in the package?
Yeah.
Well,
like they said, on Amazon, the US part of the website, and GameStop, they do have controllers for sale.
They're pre-owned, yes. Yeah. We're talking about brand new, I'm referring to. It's meaning that there are still new controllers out there in new condition, that is. Not the up-to-date ones, but the ones that are still in the brand new package seals. I guarantee they have a surplus of that, Microsoft, of the old controllers, and just resell those for fewer, lesser dollars. And that'll be it for now, for a few months. Right, I know it sounds like simple and to the point, but if they really want to maintain that demand from their customers like myself, because let's face it, I went through and bought at least 8 controllers in my Xbox One lifetime. So it's like, and still to this day, my most recent controller I bought was back earlier this year, or late last year. So, more power to them to keep selling different types of controllers out there. Now, if you remember, like I said, remember correctly, the controllers from like 3-4 years ago, those controllers, I bet they're still on somewhere on Amazon, somewhere in GameStop. Obviously, some of it is used, yes. But I'm sure they have like brand new packaging still in the fact of those type of controllers. So I explained this to the customer support of Xbox support, right? Back last year when the new controllers, the core controllers were taking over the market for the Xbox One. And I tried to explain that matter to him. He didn't understand it at first, but now he understands me after the 20-minute conversation. So he gave me a new controller in the process with what happened with my last one. So I'm glad that actually helped me out. So hopefully,
and you also bringing up cord controllers. This is just for wireless. So
yeah, cord.
I don't know if wired controllers are also in a shortage.
Okay, because when I say core controls, I'm referring to wireless controls specifically.
Oh, okay.
Because core controls involve both the Xbox One and Xbox Series X and X.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I know. I know it sounds like it's very detail oriented on my part to mention this, but it makes a difference in performance. I'm telling you, man. If you get the core controls for the Xbox One, I mean, if you buy it for either Xbox Series or Xbox One, but if you get the core control, that's what it's called for the most recent model. That helps out your gameplay. Like, okay, if I can check the controller right here, so in this middle portion, there's a little button here that's down the bottom next to the stick controller, the sticks. It's like a button to use for shortcuts. And if you change the menu or the menu for that particular shortcut button, you can record for 30 seconds, screenshot, or other means. So it's a very good feature, quick and simple to the point. So
Okay.
Because you don't see that. Because you don't see that in the Xbox One controls from like 3-4 years ago.
Yeah. Well, all I can say is, normally I would go into politics. I was actually thinking going into politics and blaming the president for this, but I really can't blame him since the governors are the ones who decide whether the city is open or not. And if the city's not open, that also helps supply chain disruptions.
Yes. New York is one of them.
I just threw up on my mouth having to defend Joe Biden. Anyway.
And New York is one of them that's affected by the economy altogether. Surprisingly, we're not the CS the only time it was very chaotic as of this moment, or at least 2 years ago, was the riots of George Floyd. So here in New York City, especially, that's in Manhattan somewhere. They break windows, stuff like that. So that's a different situation of its own. But over time, since 2020, it started to fuck up our economy. And thank goodness that it wasn't worsened to the point of decimation. Because if they're going to do this one more time with another shutdown, it's going to affect the companies throughout the United States altogether, especially New York and California. So,
well, I heard some things about New York. I'll talk about that with you afterwards. But yeah. So I mean, apparently, if you're looking for new controllers for the Xbox One, you're probably going to have to deal with pre-owned or refurbished for the time being.
Okay.
Ready to move on?
Yep.
Okay. Next. Yeah. All right. Next, Nintendo dives deep into Xenoblade Chronicles 3. With Xenoblade Chronicles 3 only a month away, the game starred in its own Nintendo Direct, featuring details on the characters, story, world, and more. The 20-minute presentation follows just a few months after the game's release date was unexpectedly moved up from its initial September release date to the July 29th one, confirmed during Nintendo Direct. There was plenty of new information in the show, and they had a link. They had a video of the trailer. The game has 6 main characters, each belonging to one of 2 warring nations. These include Noah, Eni, and Lance, who represent the country of Kiev, while Milo, Tyon, and Sena belong to Agnes. The trailer explains that members of each nation, including our protagonist, are only given 10 years to live, called a term, during which individuals fight those from the opposing nation until they either die or earn the honor of a homecoming ceremony. However, Xenoblade Chronicles 3 main characters have become fugitives, meeting each other on a special mission and deciding to band together rather than fight. Their quest to restore the world's natural order will take them through a fantastic array of landscapes and pit them against difficult foes. In the trailer, we saw vast grassy fields, endless deserts, and snow-capped peaks. All of these will contain monsters to fight, treasure to discover, and spots to rest. Colonies dot the world, giving players a place to shop, dine, and meet new characters. You'll also find rest spots which resemble small camps where the main characters can cook, craft gems to increase their abilities, and talk about anything they learned from wandering the world, which may lead to new quests. The world seems large, but the game helps players traverse it in several ways. Players can trigger quest routes, which will help guide them to the latest objective, and there will also be fast travel, which you can use from the game's very Breath of the Wild-like map. Of course, our
Please
travelers
select
always
your
risk
name from
running
the
into
list
threats,
or click
whether
Move
from
to
vicious clawed
create. Hi,
creatures or
I'm
enemy
Mavis
soldiers.
Beacon.
You can
I'm
enter
here to.
combat simply by running up to a foe with your weapon drawn. The party fights as one, and though you can only control one fighter at a time, you can swap between the characters at any time throughout battles. Characters fall broadly into three categories: attackers, defenders, and healers, but everyone has a unique class with abilities they can share with the group after battling together. To top it off, you can recruit several heroes out the world to join as a seventh party member who also has distinct abilities to teach the main fighters. Specific pairs can fuse together in battle, forming as Ouroboros, which will change up the action with powerful new moves. However, the combined shape can only be controlled by one of its members. This will change how the Ouroboros fight, so choose wisely. Nintendo also revealed during today's show that the game is getting an expansion pack, which players can pick up for $30, and the title will be compatible with amiibos. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is set to launch on Switch on July 29th, so it won't be long before fans can explore all the details shown off in today's direct. Have you played Xenoblade Chronicles 1 or 2?
Not that I never got a chance to play them. I heard good things about these games. Especially, I saw the trailer for Xenoblade Chronicles 3, especially earlier last month, if I recall correctly, and it looks good. It's I heard good things from by a YouTuber and also a Nintendo fanboy. He call himself. Well, people call him a Nintendo fanboy, but he's just a Nintendo gamer. His name is Shokyo. He actually been talking about Xenoblade Chronicles for years, on and off. As of late, he hasn't been making too many videos because he has his own thing going on with the skateboard and whatever. Well, other than that, or whatever it's called, rollerblade that he was doing on Facebook. I'm actually friends with him on Facebook for a few years now, and yeah, he actually did a good review. Spoke highly of these games of Xenoblade. So, yeah.
I never. I don't think I played 1 or 2. I might have played a remake. I think it was Xenoblade Chronicles X on Wii U once. It's a role playing game. Unfortunately, it's a series I never got to try. I'm surprised though that they said there's the expansion pack is going to continue the use of amiibos. Does that mean amiibos are going to be because amiibos really haven't been a thing since the Wii U has been put to rest.
Oh yeah.
So I'm wondering, is the expansion pack gonna, with this expansion pack that will be coming out, are we gonna get more amiibos, or are you just gonna have to have your old ones lying around if you were a Wii U gamer?
That's a good question right there. I'm not sure myself. However, though, Nintendo Switch, I'm sure they're well aware of what they've been doing for how many years, but right before and as well as throughout the cycle of Nintendo Switch. So I'm sure they plan this ahead. I'm sure they have like one of those add-on devices to attach to your Switch, or something on top of your Joy-Con controller somehow, some way, or something of that sort. So somewhere like a platform or something to connect to the Switch and put it on a flat surface and put your amiibos on. I'm sure they're gonna have something like that for this summer. If not this summer, sometime this year, next year. They have to.
And I just hope. But what I'm asking is, obviously there were characters from Xenoblade Chronicles that got their own amiibo. Are they going to be re-released, or do you just have to have them lying around?
Yeah, most of those guys who actually have those amiibos for the Wii U, they were kids back then, so. Because it was a big thing.
I actually had a couple for, I think, Splatoon, but I sold them since then.
I can see. Did you hear about?
But I never played Splatoon, so.
I heard to think of Splatoon is going to make another game for the Switch. Splatoon 3, I think it's called. If not Splatoon 2.
I've heard about that, but that was like I've heard that like years ago. So I think.
Okay.
I haven't heard anything about it recently though.
Because I heard it's coming out. I just looked at it just now. It's coming out September 9th, 2022. Splatoon 3. So,
oh wow.
Time flies. I was not expecting it this year. Splatoon 3. So.
Yeah. So Xenoblade Chronicles coming out 3 is coming out this summer. And as Dr. Games 101 just said, Splatoon 3 is coming out this winter.
Mm-hmm. Well, September, to be more exact, like around the fall. late summer.
I thought you said December.
Hold on. What did I say? September 9th, I said.
Oh, I thought you said December. I was like, okay,
Nope.
so yeah, the fall. More
September
like the
9th. Like pretty much the last few days of summer.
fall. Okay. Yeah. So, I guess this question revolving around the amiibos, we'll just find out when that situation happens.
Oh yeah.
Ready to move on?
Yep.
All right. Next, Sega multiplayer game Hyenas revealed. Sega's Creative Assembly is working on a brand new game revealed today, Hyenas. The title is described as a multiplayer, multi-team heist experience set in space with a punky comic book aesthetic. What this means practically is players can jump into 5 teams of 3 to battle each other over a prize and engage, evade, exploit, and steal their way to victory. The game's debut trailer shows off some fast-paced action, but I can't play the trailer right now. The story envisions a world in which the billionaires have finally made it to Mars, destroying Earth in the process. However, the rich get nostalgic for their former planet's culture, though they send out ships to collect plunder from the remnants of Earth's poor survivors. Not content to take this sitting down, the hyenas are fighting back. The game is still in early development, so the creators have not revealed the release date, but we do know the game is coming to PS5, Xbox Series, PS4, Xbox One, and PC. Though it's still a ways off, you can sign up for Hyenas Alpha today, and you can learn more about the title in IGN's Summer of Gaming interview-filled stream. So, does Hyenas sound like something you would play?
Well, maybe here's what's going to throw you off a bit. If the hyenas are referring to it from the Lion King, I mean,
No.
Not at all.
No.
Okay, I'm sorry, but let's say what if it was in regards to the Lion King movie series? That would be a great add-on, or at least another lore to look into if it's like based on the Lion King the movie series, and also the video games as well from the 90s and 2000s. I know I'm focusing too much on Lion King because if people who remember the Lion King from 1990, what, 4, 3, or 2, somewhere around there, like the original Lion King, not the one live action, but the cartoon animation.
Yeah, I think it was 94 if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, somewhere around there, and we remember the hyenas, and Whoopi Goldberg was the actor with one of those hyenas. So that was a good fan base to reinvigorate them. Like myself, for example, I kind of looked up to Whoopi Goldberg at one point because she was a good actor. His sister act, she was like I said, one of the hyenas in my Lion King. I think also in Lion King 2. I only watched when I was younger. I saw a few minutes of Lion King 2 on the TV series or TV movie stations. Other than that. Yeah, so I think it's going to be if it's not that, okay, no big deal. But
like I said, it's not. It's basically multiple teams trying to commit a heist. But I guess other teams are going to impede your progress instead of it.
You said hyena, right? You said hyena or heist?
No, the title of the game is Hyenas.
Hyenas. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, this is going to be a game that takes place on Mars, and basically, it's going to involve different teams trying to commit different heists. So it sounds interesting. It's got my attention. We'll find out, but like I said, there's no release date yet, but it's definitely going to but it is planned to come out on current gen and last gen. So,
okay. All right.
That's all we know for now.
Right.
Ready to move on?
Yeah.
Okay. Next story. You can now become a werewolf in The Sims 4. I guess you still can't become a toaster yet. The Sims 4 latest DLC is bringing werewolves back. Come in.
Gizmo, get out. Gizmo.
Leave him in. Just take him out when you're done. He's scared of the fireworks.
better now.
Oh. Anyway, The Sims 4's latest DLC is bringing werewolves back, with 2 new packs to join and a whole new neighborhood to explore. Werewolves have been part of The Sims since the first game's Make and Magic expansion, but the new pack makes them more customizable than ever. Werewolf Sims can be created directly from the Create a Sim page, or players can turn their Sims into werewolves by befriending an existing werewolf and asking them to turn them. It's also possible for Sims to be turned accidentally by a rampaging werewolf. The Sims will contact a disease called werebees, which can be cured by the bartender at Moonwood Mills Grimtooth Bar and Bunker, or allowed to run its course for a full transformation. The game pack also introduces 2 werewolf factions, the peaceful Moonwood Collective and the rebellious Wild Fangs. Werewolf Sims can choose to join either pack or decide to go it alone as a lone wolf as they work to control their rampages and tame their werewolf foe. As with Sims 4 other occult sim types like vampires and spellcasters, werewolves will be able to level up their skills and unlock new powers and buffs. The Sims 4 Werewolves pack also lets the players extensively customize their Sims' Fury Wolf forms with the ability to paint and stamp custom-made markings, similarly to the pet customization introduced in the Cats and Dogs expansion. The Werewolf game pack is priced at $20 and is available on PC through Steam or Origin, as well as the PlayStation Store and Xbox Store. How do you feel about this new expansion to The Sims?
Like I'm not a big Sims fan, and last time I did any kind of gameplay of Sims was some sort of urban version of it with my girlfriend at the time, back 15, 20 years ago. As we told about with the last Sims thing with the what was that about the LGBT stuff? Well, that's referred to Dead by Daylight.
No. Yeah, you could choose. I think it was something like you could choose your gender or something.
Okay. Yeah, because Sims
In the
is...
Sims 4.
Because I heard that, like you said before, with the last 2 episodes ago, if I remember correctly, that Sims 4 was trying to promote their... trying to be friendly to the LGBT community, in a sense. So, or
They were
something like
pandering
that.
to that community.
Yeah.
So, I mean, again, I have to ask, who asked for this? Yeah, because the last DLC pack, was the Star Wars pack.
Which I'm sure that's worthwhile.
And what's funny is, in a poll, I think EA makes The Sims, if I'm not mistaken. They put out a poll before the Star Wars pack came out. They gave fans like 20 choices. What would you like to see as the next DLC?
Mm-hmm.
Star Wars came in dead last, and EA said we're making that the next DLC pack.
Of all things Star Wars.
Yeah, Star Wars characters.
Especially after Episode 8.
I like The Sims, but I think the DLC packs are just starting to get ridiculous now.
They're desperate. They're trying to cash. They're trying to milk that cash cow for as long as possible. And they could make a Sims 5 if they put their mind to it. But at this rate, Sims is going to be just like one of those not mundane communities, but it's going to be a niche community, like mostly of 30, 20-year-old girls who are gamer girls since they were kids, and it's nostalgia, and that's about it. Because Sims is not my game. I did try to play it, or at least saw someone playing it at one of their houses in junior high school, but that's about it. It didn't catch my eye per se. Just the one with my ex-girlfriend, my girlfriend at the time. So, other than that, I'll play with. If I was in another relationship with another girl and she's into Sims, I'll play Sims with her. Why not? Sims 4 especially.
And I will be playing The Sims 4 again sometime. I don't know, because I really do enjoy The Sims. Like I said, one thing that really was holding me back was wanting the DLC and knowing I couldn't afford all the DLC.
Right.
Now I don't want this. I don't want the Star Wars one. So maybe I'm starting. Maybe the DLC that I would actually want is maybe that's coming to an end. I guess I'd be fine with The Sims 4, even just the base game.
But Triple J, did you say that Sims 4 at one point, sometime last year, you mentioned in one of our episodes that has at least $700 worth of DLC or $700 worth of something of that matter for the add-ons to that game?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
See, you get rich, wealthy families that spend time together playing Sims. Those what they focus on to get those type of people play Sims together.
Yeah, I mean, obviously but that's for people who came into it late and want to buy every DLC.
Unless they do like some sort of bundle where it's like if you want everything up to 2021 for about $200 easily, and then,
they could do that.
I'm sure it's worth it.
But I mean, I guess if you want your Sims virtual world to become supernatural, with werewolves walking around and having a chance to be attacked by werewolves and turning into a werewolf and etc., and having a cure that could stop you from becoming a werewolf, that'll be available in the new DLC.
Now, here's going to be screwed up or whatever. What if you remember Michael J. Fox, the actor, right? Michael J. Fox. Mm-hmm. Now he was part before his Parkinson's or whatever he's had for his years now. He was a young guy playing a movie called Werewolf a high school werewolf, whatever. It's a set in high school setting, and he transformed to a werewolf at times throughout his high school years or high school time, whatever. And goodness forbid, if Michael J. Fox passed away, and this year especially, that'll be a good time. And it was around like Halloween. Mwah! Perfect time for them to do the werewolf for Sims 4.
Yeah, they didn't say when this was coming out, so
yeah,
that would be a good.
I'm not trying to kill you off, Mr. Michael J. Fox. I love you as an actor, especially in the Back to the Future movies. But you did a good job with the werewolf game. The movie. I saw clips of it, like a few minutes of it at a time on the TV Saturday shows for the what's called the 9, 10, 11, 13 show, channel 13, whatever. Those basic TV shows of the werewolf movie. And if I get the full movie, if I can look it up, I'll definitely buy his movie. But that'll be a good time, for him to, for his resting soul to prop up Sims 4 with the werewolf path and make it high school setting with Michael J. Fox. And it looks like a good idea at first, but you gotta wait until when it happens. So,
Yeah. So, anyway, this is coming out. Keep an eye out for this if you're interested in this.
Oh yeah.
Ready to move on?
Yes, indeed.
Okay. Next, A Plague Tale: Requiem gets October release date and 10-minute gameplay demo. A Plague Tale: Requiem finally arrives on October 18th. Focus Entertainment announced today during a special broadcast. The release confirmation comes alongside an extended gameplay. In case you were wondering what was going on, my dog ran in here because he was scared of the fireworks.
Right.
Okay, anyway, the release confirmation comes alongside an extended gameplay showing that follows Amisha and Hugo as they attempt to escape an enemy-laden quarry. You can watch the new demo below to get an in-game look at a slice of the game's story as the siblings are pursued by soldiers. This leads to a good showing of the game's stealth as the pair sneak around the quarry. Amisha also gets her hands dirty taking out enemies in a showcase of the game's action. Okay, so I'll finish the article and then say what I was going to say. Mm-hmm. Additionally, a video showcasing the game's previously announced collector's edition for $190 provides up close looks at the Amisha and Hugo resin statue. A Plague Tale: Requiem will be available on PS5, Xbox Series, and PC. It will also be playable on Switch via cloud streaming. So, it gets October 18th. You said you finally played the first one.
Yes, the Plague Tale of Innocence, I think it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all right. Very intense for the first 25-30 minutes of that gameplay I did on my YouTube channel. To those who want to see it, YouTube search Dr. Case 101, and it was very intense. Like I said, it's It's like a survival horror, but without the zombies at first. And I know that's very exaggerating, but it's yeah,
It's
man,
a
it's
stealth game.
yeah, it's a stealth game for those who who wants to see something from during the time of Crusades. That's the setting during the 1300s, because the Crusades lasted from as early as 900 AD and until like about 1300 AD, give or take. Because it depends on which part of what world you're talking about in the Middle East, Europe. So it was
This was in France,
okay.
if I'm not mistaken.
Right, of course. Hence, I said Europe. That's a bigger area, but I understand. But yeah, that's good timing because sometimes there are communities out there, gaming communities out there. I took part in a conversation where we talked about reunited another crusade for us Americans, and I know it sounds very crazy, but it's the Playtale Innocence kind of helped me initiate that matter with my group of friends at the time. So, other than that, it's because we did learn about Crusades back when we were in junior high school into high school. So it's interesting.
Okay. Yeah. So I played the first one all the way through. Loved it. I'm happy that there's a second one. The what I was gonna say when I stopped myself, it says in this one Amisha gets her hands dirty. In the first game, Amisha really didn't fight unless you count the parts where she used her slingshot,
Mm-hmm.
or well, not her slingshot, but that thing that she swung rocks with. Like
The
she had
slingshot.
she had something like a scarf, and like she could.
It's a slingshot
Uh,
or a slinger.
Yeah, well, not a slingshot because a slingshot's like this, like a rubber band. She had like a scarf, and like she could put a rock in it, and she could swing the rock around.
It's like a slinger, that modified version with slingshot.
Okay. Yeah. So, like, other than that, she really didn't attack enemies because most of the game of Innocence was all about stealth. The only
Mm-hmm.
time you really fought enemies is when you were supposed to in the story.
Yeah, I saw you doing a gameplay event last year or two, Triple J, and you were fighting some guy in armor over by some not pasture, but like one of those settings where it's like the village, and you had to walk into a big building to pass the guard and shit. Well, you had to fight with a slingshot or a slinger, and you had to hit him
Yeah.
a few times. So that was pretty intense, what you just did back then. I remember that
Yeah.
gameplay. So
And yeah. So it sounds like Amisha's gonna have more fighting, if nothing else. Maybe this game won't be so heavily reliant on stealth.
hmm
But I'm happy to hear that there's a new sequel. It's one I wanted since I finished the first game. Also, when I wrote my writing job, I found someone who wanted a video game review. He said you can review any video game you want for any console you want. So I reviewed A Plague Tale: Innocence, sent him the review. He liked it. He accepted it. Then he sends me a message. He goes, "By the way, A Plague Tale: Innocence is one of my favorite games too."
ah, nice.
So there's obviously community out there. It's not just me that's a fan of the series, and I can't wait to play this new one that comes out October.
Yes, we'll conduct a crusade and go stealth after.
Uh, oh, that's what you'll do. Ready to move on?
Ready and willing. Yes.
All right. Next, Marvel's Avengers Mighty Thor, Jane Foster gameplay reveal set for next week. This was written on the 23rd. Crystal Dynamics announced in April that Marvel's Avengers' next hero would be Jane Foster as the Mighty Thor. A new War Table blog post names the date fans will see the Goddess of Thunder in action. Mark Monday, June 27th on your calendar as the date to watch. A War Table deep dive detailing Jane's powers and abilities. Jane will become available as part of the 2.5 update, which arrives just a day later on the 28th. That should whet fans' appetite for the character's Norse-powered return in the upcoming Thor: Love and Thunder, which hits theaters on July 8th. It'll be interesting to see how Crystal Dynamics differentiates Jane's moveset from Thor's. In the comics, Jane possessed all of the abilities of Thor during her time as the Goddess of Thunder. The only notable difference was her ability to manipulate, here, with greater control and creativity, especially when throwing it. than her predecessors. So that's something the studio can certainly hone in and expand upon. So, have you played the Marvel's Avengers since you've been on Game Pass?
Never did. I never played Marvel Adventures yet. I don't think I'm gonna
Oh
play
wow,
it anytime soon. Why? Is part of the Game Pass?
yeah.
I thought it was a bad game. I heard
I heard that too.
we did a review
I,
of it, or
I
we heard about it, read about it in the last
we
episodes.
we heard about it. But the thing is, what? But the thing is, I played. I only got past the tutorial. I had to play the tutorial as Iron Man. I was hoping to play as Captain America or Hulk.
Can't
But anyway, I had to
choose.
play as, huh?
You can't choose your Avenger,
Not as far as I know. No, you get. I think you get assigned one random.
and that's why I'm not playing.
But anyway, so I was Iron Man. I did the tutorial. I got to the point where I could pick what mission I wanted to jump into. Then I stopped the Let's Play. So honestly, I don't know if this. They said this is going to be an update. So obviously, it's not going to cost money. Yeah, I just want to, and maybe I'll be able to play. Maybe I will once I start jumping into missions, be able to pick an Avenger.
Hmm.
Um, like I said, all I completed so far was the tutorial.
Yeah.
Maybe the tutorial is the same for everyone. Um, but
I,
anyway,
if I can
but
say
anyway,
this, if I can say this
this
about Marvel's Avengers, if it's available for the Game Pass, I'll definitely will play as a game session called one of the worst games ever in gaming history, number 3. Because I played Anthem, I played Sea of Thieves so far, so it's 2 games I played that's one of the worst games of all time. So if Avengers is one of the worst games of all time, and it looks like it now, why not, right? But
I'm definitely willing to play it again with a more open mind. I
yeah.
suggest you do the same too. Play it for one. At least through the tutorial, and then give me your decision. Because
Right.
it shouldn't take that long to complete. Tutorial will take 20 to 30 minutes.
That's not bad.
Um, yeah,
And
and
also, the movie is coming out next week or two, so I wish I could see it not right this second, but if I have extra money left over, I doubt it. Well, actually, I think I can actually watch it this month because I actually have some money coming in this month. So yeah, definitely will try to watch that movie, Love and Thunder, because so far I saw the Phase 1, 2, and 3 movies of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and Phase 4 it looks like a shitty moments of the Marvel Cinematic Universe in a broad setting because there are good movies. Spider-Man, Far From Home, whatever it's called, the third Spider-Man movie, and then they put those other Spider-Man movies together, in that paradox, and Doctor Strange 2 and stuff like that. So Doctor Strange 2, I definitely will try to watch when it's on Netflix. Hopefully, as if they ever put it on Netflix, which I doubt it. Might have to get Disney Plus, but or just find some other means it ends. So, but yeah,
yeah. So I mean this. Yeah. Marvel's Avengers. I'm just saying, if you have Game Pass, it's on there. Give it a chance. I'm willing to give it more of a chance because I didn't hate the tutorial that I played. Um, and I guess this update will be coming soon enough. So,
just in time for the movies.
yep. Ready to move on?
And I wanted to say this too. Speaking of Avengers, obviously they already end the Avengers series, sub-series, we'll call it, of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But Phase 4, by far, it's alright in a sense of, like, if you want to understand more about the story and the aftermath of Endgame, of the Avengers Endgame. Other than that, I'm hearing movies coming out like Blade for the Phase 4. What else? Another Ant-Man. It's like a third, if not a fourth Ant-Man movie. But it's going to involve another side hero. Sidekick, you want to call it. So that's going to be interesting for the next year or two. And I saw the plans laid out over the years, and it was available on Wikipedia, and it looks good. So far, it looks all right overall. But it's like, do we really want to watch Phase 4? Do we really want to have Phase 4? You know what I'm saying? Like, end it with a good note, and that's it. So that's all I have to say.
I mean, if people want more, then Hollywood will be happy to create more.
Well, I mean, they're very creative with what they've been doing for the last 15 years, at least with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like I said, the first three phases were, mwah, it was intense. It was like I watched Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is coming out sometime next year. Last time I checked, so I'll watch that. So it's like, if they keep my interest and they keep the story consistent and it's up to date, and I know that Captain America is not coming back in the action pack just because he turned out to be, of another matter. I want to ruin it for everyone, but let's just say that Captain America's not coming back at all. So it sucks. So, and also Iron Man. I forgot about that too. Sorry, guys, if I ruined it.
Well, they could always rewrite the story and bring them back if they want.
Then that make it a reboot then.
Not really. They could just do some magic or some
The multiverse shit.
I don't really know what happened, but I'm saying they could do something supernatural wise to bring them back.
I see what you mean. Like they did with the third Spider-Man movie last year in December.
I haven't seen the new ones. I've only seen the old trilogy.
Okay, so you didn't see the one with the Tom Holland or whatever his actor's name, right? The Tom guy.
No,
Because Tom is the newest Spider-Man actor. Tobey Maguire was the 2000s Spider-Man.
Right.
Then also there was the Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2. I saw those. I saw the second one, the Amazing Spider-Man 2 in theaters. But the one that came out last year, they put the shit together in a good manner, like of these three previous Spider-Mans. Kind of interesting, right? So it's because it's based on part of the Doctor Strange's multiverse of madness, because it was a multiverse. So they did a good job putting the story in a vicarious but head spinning type of matter in a good way. It's good. It's perfect. So yeah.
Why don't you move on?
Yep.
All right. Next. Diablo Immortal is exactly what fans feared it would be. Diablo Immortal had been out in the wild for several weeks now, and in that time the verdict has become clear. In addition to being heavily monetized, Diablo Immortal is without a doubt pay to win. Ahead of release, fans knew Diablo Immortal would have microtransactions. After all, the game is free to play, and none of the story content or main features are locked behind a paywall. Blizzard needs to make money on Diablo Immortal somehow, but it wasn't clear to what extent the studio would monetize what it heralded as the most ambitious Diablo game to date. Fans assumed it would include a premium currency, paid cosmetics, and a battle pass, and includes all that and more. What was less clear, and what Blizzard failed to disclose, was how heavy a role money plays when it comes to progressing your character in Diablo Immortal's endgame, and the advantage doing so gives you over other players. At the heart of the issue is legendary quest and legendary gems. You see, not all gems are created equal. Some are incredibly rare and powerful. These 5-star legendary gems are miles above 1 or 2-star legendary gems, granting more powerful effects, but also higher stats in the form of more resonance, a stat which boosts the life and damage value of items. As a player, you want as many of these powerful gems and as much resonance as possible. You also want to upgrade them as many times as possible to further increase their power. Gems are upgraded by salvaging unwanted legendary gems, and higher level gems not only require leftover scraps of unwanted gems, but also require dozens of gems of the same type in order to be upgraded. The issue is that obtaining these highly coveted and extremely powerful gems is only possible through legendary quests. These quests are a premium item that can be purchased for real money and guarantee a legendary gem of some sort will drop when used in conjunction with the game's Elder Rifts. Legendary quests also include a small, roughly 5% chance to drop a 5-star legendary gem. If you are a completely free-to-play player or even a player who only buys the Battle Pass and a few one-time bundles, you will only have a few legendary quests by the time you reach the endgame. To earn more, you need to spend more money. Instead, free-to-play players are relegated to using rare quests which do not include any chance at all of a 5-star legendary gem and don't even guarantee a legendary gem of any sort upon completing an Elder Rift. Considering how many legendary gems are also needed for upgrade purposes, players who aren't using legendary quests can expect to make almost no progress for weeks or months at a time when it comes to one of the key ways to improve your character. The problem here is clear. People who spend money to buy dozens and dozens of quests will not only have more gems than players only buying, say, the Battle Pass, will also have far more of the game's most overpowered gems as well. Free players quite simply will never be as powerful as a person willing to spend hundreds of dollars. While there are technically some ways for free to play players to earn legendary gems without spending money in the form of crafting, it's so time consuming, resource intensive, and luck based that you might as well not even try. Players that spend money will be much stronger than players who don't by a wide margin. It would be one thing if this only applied to the player versus enemy portions of Diablo Immortal, like dungeons, raids, and challenge rift leaderboards. However, it applies to player versus player as well, which is a major focus of Diablo Immortal with its new cycle of strife system that pits two players' factions against one another, and the inclusion of player versus player battlegrounds. While the game's combat rating stat is capped in player versus player to ensure a more even playing field, the powerful gem effects and the resonance boost to stats the gems provide are not, meaning players decked out in the game's best 5-star gems, which once again are realistically only obtainable by spending money, will absolutely decimate free-to-play players. These types of paid systems aren't exactly new for many mobile or free-to-play RPGs. Genshin Impact, for example, is one of the most popular free-to-play games in the world. It relies heavily on a glorified slot machine system, where players spend real money for a chance to score rare characters and weapons that are easily superior to those that free-to-play players have access to Lost Ark, which, just like Diablo Immortal, is a free-to-play ARPG MMO. Lets players directly purchase materials used to upgrade gear from its in-game store. The difference between those two examples and Diablo Immortal, however, is that Genshin Impact is player versus enemy only, and Lost Ark balances its player versus player so that stats are equalized to ensure a fair and competitive environment. If you ignore the player versus player element, Diablo Immortal sadly isn't an outlier when it comes to popular free-to-play RPGs, and it doesn't do anything that dozens of cash-extracting mobile games haven't done before. These type of microtransactions aren't even a first for the Diablo franchise. When Diablo 3 released in 2012, it included a real money auction house where players could sell in-game items for cash, with Blizzard getting a small cut of each transaction. As players reached higher difficulties and progress slowed to a crawl, many felt forced to engage with the auction house in order to improve their character. Blizzard listened to feedback and eventually removed the auction house from Diablo 3 entirely, seeming having learned its lesson. To see the same kind of scenario play out once again in Diablo Immortal, which also includes an auction house where players can sell items like gems to one another via a special currency that can be acquired with another premium currency bought with real money, is Blizzard not only failing to learn from the mistakes of the franchise's past, but seemingly appearing hell-bent on repeating them. Diablo as a series is all about slaying countless demons, obtaining more powerful loot, and progressing your character to tackle greater and greater challenges. Being able to simply buy your way to success, whether it's through legendary quests or the game's auction house, undermines the very essence of what Diablo as a franchise is all about. Didn't know that this one article was this long.
Mm-hmm.
Let me get back. When Diablo Immortal was first announced as BlizzCon on 2018 as mobile only, it was met with widespread disapproval from fans who asked if the game's reveal was an out-of-season April Fool's joke and if the game would also come to PC. Blizzard responded as if players were the ones out of touch, asking, "Do you not have phones?" While part of Diablo Immortal's disastrous announcement was due to Blizzard's hardcore PC-centric fans hoping to see Diablo 4, instead getting something completely different, the negative reaction also stemmed from the justified reputation free-to-play mobile games have as being riddled with predatory microtransactions. The idea of a heavily monetized pay-to-win Diablo game sounded like the antithesis of everything Blizzard stood for. As time went on and Blizzard eventually announced Diablo Immortal would also release for PC, some longtime Diablo and Blizzard fans dared to hope Blizzard would use Diablo Immortal to buck mobile game trends and instead deliver a polished freemium title fans of the franchise would be proud of, and some of that came to pass. Diablo Immortal is undoubtedly fun. It was great on mobile and includes some top-notch production values, especially for a free phone game. It's entirely possible for casual players to play through and enjoy the game's main story without spending money. But as any fan knows, Diablo largely begins once the main story is complete, and Blizzard is capitalizing on that for Diablo Immortal. The real disappointment of Diablo Immortal stems not from the fact it includes so many microtransactions or even that it's pay to win. It comes from the sad reality that instead of using Diablo's mobile debut to move the mobile RPG landscape forward, as Blizzard has done with numerous genres over the years, and instead chose to embrace the platform's worst practices. Diablo Immortal's pay-to-win mechanics encourage players to spend hundreds of dollars, or by one player's estimate, upwards of 80 grand, to max out their character via legendary gems. Premium item bundles in games can start as low as $1 and include made-up value percentages of 800% to rope players in. Then as players progress and more bundles are unlocked, the bundles start to go up in price. The 3 separate paid services are present to give players who are willing to spend more money of an advantage over the player who thought they would be able to compete by just buying a simple battle pass. There's even an entire endgame progression system which revolves around opening progressively more expensive loot boxes with keys that can also be opened with a special currency bought with a premium paid currency. The list goes on. When you have players spamming the game chat looking to exclusively form groups with other pay-to-win whales, a term used for players who spend vast sums of money in a free-to-play game compared to the average players, there's a serious problem. There is a lot of potential money to be made in the free-to-play mobile game market, and there's no denying Blizzard's strategy seems to be working. Diablo Immortal reportedly made upwards of $24 million in its first 2 weeks, and that's with the game being banned in 2 European countries and having not yet released in China. The game's Chinese release was delayed till July 7th. People seem more than willing to spend thousands of dollars on Diablo Immortal, even if it's just to point out how terrible of an idea that is. One popular streamer spent roughly the equivalent of 16 grand to acquire just one of Diablo Immortal's coveted 5-star legendary gems, only to immediately dismantle it, delete his character, and then uninstall the game and protest. You spent the money, then you protest the game?
Yep.
Spending thousands of dollars in Diablo Immortal just to make a point does, as more than a few streamers have done, may seem hypocritical, but it doesn't change the fact that many of these streamers have disposable income to waste. Oh yeah, if they're spending the money then deleting the game, they can throw thousands of dollars at a game like Diablo Immortal to get the attention of viewers, then delete their character once they become bored. The reality is the majority of players can spend a few dollars on Diablo Immortal, play for a bit, and then carry on with their lives. But for a minority of players with gambling and addiction problems who find themselves sucked into predatory systems and microtransactions like those found in Diablo Immortal, that kind of luxury doesn't exist. Those are the players who can't afford to toss hundreds or thousands of dollars down the drain, but feel compelled to and are in many ways pushed to do so anyways, that see the ones most hurt by these types of mobile game practices, of which Diablo Immortal is a textbook example of. That Diablo Immortal appears to be a financial success and players are spending large sums of money within it doesn't change the fact that the game's monetization model is predatory. In fact, Diablo Immortal is financial success further proves this point. Could some aspects of how Diablo Immortal is monetized change over time? Sure, and they probably will be considering the state of the game's heavily pay-to-win player versus player scene and overall negative public perception. Many longtime Blizzard players and Diablo fans are, to put it lightly, not happy about the state of Diablo Immortal. But Blizzard had years and the ever-present memory of Diablo 3's failures to get this right the first time. Now the damage has been done, both to Blizzard's reputation and the Diablo franchise as a whole. Diablo Immortal was among the most anticipated games of 2022. As a longtime fan, the guy who wrote this is Cameron Koch, K-O-C-H, however you pronounce that. As a longtime fan of both Diablo and MMOs like Blizzard-owned World of Warcraft, the idea of a free-to-play title that blended the best of Blizzard's story ARPG series with the more social elements of an MMO was on paper a dream come true for me. I was excited about innovative new player versus player systems like the Cycle of Strife, the likes of which has never been seen in a Diablo game before. I was excited about running dungeons, rifts, and raids with a clan of friends. I was excited to experience the world of Diablo in a new way. Unfortunately, that excitement soon turned into the depressing realization that Diablo Immortal was merely a demon in disguise, an entertaining Diablo game in many ways, albeit one currently corrupted by the power of the almighty dollar. So, what do you think about what happened to Diablo Immortal? How it turned out to be basically a money grab.
A cash cow at best for the makers, especially. I heard about that too. I heard that. I think you mentioned this in the article that in the if you want to max out your character, you have to spend about $100,000, or at least 10,000. Last time I checked. I know it sounds extravagant right there, like exaggerating the numbers.
The person spent like 80,000.
Okay, but there was an article or a news story out there saying there was like if you really want to like have the best possible experience with Diablo, you might have to spend $100,000 in your lifetime just for maxing your characters. So I know it sounds like a lot, and I don't know whoever wants to do that. That's crazy of them. But like I said, with that player who live streamed, I never saw the live stream, but I heard the guy was basically spending $10,000 easily just to that.
Had 16,000 before he quit.
Yeah, like who has that kind of money just to carelessly throw away?
Successful streamers do.
Like I understand, you'll have a trust fund from your daddy, and you were.
I'm not. It's not even that. It's just lots of people who stream who have thousands of fans. They get more perks on Twitch than people who don't have that many fans. It's something to strive for. And also, some people get donations from their fans every time they stream, or almost every time they stream.
Right.
So, it really depends. I can't believe someone spent $16,000 and then decided to uninstall the game.
Well, I will never. If I have $10,000 right this second in my possession, whether it's in my checking account or in cash, that $10,000 is going to be easily used for a down payment on a decent, like a Ford Expedition or for Yukon or a Ford 150 pickup truck, we're gonna call it like that. So the guy's crazy for doing that. Like guys would like me want to kill just to have that kind of money right this second, because the things I want to do with $10,000 involves with my inventions or possible inventions. That is, there's one invention I have in mind, and it requires several $1,000s just to put down on sharing it with other companies throughout the United States and not the world. It's called Event Help, by the way. So, but that but other than that, it's just. I just don't understand these players that they're so spoiled. I'm not trying to say that I myself don't have my spending pleasures or spending habits, but $10,000, $15,000, like you gotta be crazy.
Yeah, I remember I saw a video. I don't know if you saw it. I did see the video. What happened when Diablo Immortal was announced?
Yes.
I saw like the basically collective groan. From fans watching the presentation, and that was, I can't believe they were so cocky. What, you don't have phones?
And you saw that Oriental gentleman's reaction when he said, he's like, oh my god, you don't have no phones?
That's what they were saying. Like, come on, you can play this if you have a smartphone. While most people that play games on their phones do have a smartphone.
Not everyone can play mobile games of that caliber, because games like the Final Fantasy VII First Class Soldier Battle Royale games, you need a decent Samsung phone for that shit. I only got the Motorola E6, as you can see right here, and I can't play the Final Fantasy game. It sucks. I don't have that kind of processing speed on my phone. So just because of the fact that everyone has a smartphone doesn't mean that everyone has the decent, not only internet, but also the decent processing of your phone. Like, most phones today, or most people who have phones, are either Android or they have some of a lower class iPhone brand. That's about it.
So anyway, people were upset about this, rightfully so. And it seems like people's concerns about this game have come to fruition. I mean,
It sucks.
yeah, unfortunately, like you
And
said,
as
you thought that they tried monetization once before. You thought they would have learned, and yeah, battle pass and cosmetics changes are fine, but not play to win.
it's gamers like these guys that spend $10,000 is making their companies able and willing to send that kind of message to other gamers out there. Hey, you want a good decent gaming experience? You gotta spend $10,000 to have that experience now. And they did that with Gran Turismo 7. If those who are well aware of the matter, thanks to Richard Tech USA clarifying the matter, if you want to have that decent $3 million car, you have to fork over at least 30, 40, $50 more, I heard, just to get those type of just for one car only. So
That not to mention also, I might have to let my dog in. He's scratching at my door. I don't know why he wants to be in here. Um, but anyway, yeah, it's just like they said, they tried this with Diablo 3. They got backlash. So you thought they would have learned. Instead, they decided to double down on it. And there are people also who have gambling addictions, because I think sports games have gotten in trouble with this. I think FIFA was one of them. Of people who they can't help themselves. They try it just one time, and then they get hooked on, and they end up losing all that money that they couldn't have, you know that they shouldn't have lost, but the gambling bug bit them because the game had gambling in it.
hmm it sucks, man. For next how many decades, this is what a game is going to be like, and it was going to keep getting worse and worse and worse. There's going to be gamers going to see this who are young as 15 years old. They're like, "Oh, this is how the game companies do us. This is not bad that we get to spend hundreds of dollars every year just on microtransactions alone on one game." Like, who wants to do that? That's horrible consumer practices right there. And if we gamers don't smarten up right in a very quick manner, this is what's going to happen for the rest of the time of gaming. So
Just let me get something to drink before we continue.
yeah, sure.
Okay, so next, hold on, let me. Halo Master Chief Collection cosmetic microtransactions being explored by 343. 343 Industries has confirmed that it is exploring the idea of adding microtransactions to Halo, the Master Chief Collection. In an update to the Waypoint site, community writer Alex Wakeford explained that 343 will be renaming season points as Spartan points, and is looking into adding a new form of microtransactions. For players who are new to the MCC, or who may not have dedicated much time specifically to unlocking items during the seasonal updates, or simply completionists looking to catch the last outstanding items they need, we are internally exploring a potential new feature for the future in the form of purchasable Spartan points. Halo Master Chief Collections now
See what I mean?
following. The new system is described as being an optional additive alternative for players and is being designed as a way for people to either skip the grind of obtaining items or be given the option to purchase the ones they want. The existing method of earning points by leveling up and completing challenges will remain in place. For the interest of transparency with our dedicated and passionate community, we wanted to inform you of this exploration in advance and provide assurance that purchasable Spartan points would be an additive feature, Wakeford added. Beyond that, new features such as functionality, further mod support, campaign collectibles across all games, the Steam Workshop modding upload download tool, new customization options, and quality of life improvements are also being worked on for the game. In more Halo news, 343 Industries recently apologized for a Juneteenth cosmetic in Halo Infinite that was briefly named after an endangered ape. Halo Infinite also received its first mid-season drop pod update this month, which added changes to rank matchmaking, bug fixes, and adjustments to the game's vehicles. So, what do you think about Halo: The Master Chief Collection exploring the possibility with microtransactions?
See what I mean, guys? This is the future of gaming right now. It's all about the money. You know, you spend a quick $5 to get that special, Eva skin, or if you want that Spartan 4 helmet, you spend like $10 for. This is the future of gaming. You know, I mean, the Master Chief Collection already had a horrible launch, and to those who are witness to that, back in 2014 of December, and I started playing Master Chief Collection back in January 2015. So I still had the aftermath of that effect, weeks after the release, and it was going into by 2016. By 2017 is when they finally try to fix the game and resell it, and by 2018 it was all right to play. But to this day, as of 2022, they still have bugs and crashes, especially every time when they update the game for the new season or skins or whatever. Last time I checked, that is. So I don't know, man. It's a major turnoff. Now, as long as I get to earn my points and still maintain that rank system that's not changing constantly, or not trying to artificially inflate the numbers or make you spend money to make a player progress, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with it for having,
It does sound like you can still progress by grinding.
Okay.
The only problem is in player versus player games. I still think people who buy what they want will still have an advantage. So you can still get points by the old-fashioned way.
Mm-hmm.
It's just until you actually earn those points. People who chose to pay for them, who could pay for them, it sounds like they will have an advantage.
Yep.
And unfortunately, I'm not a big fan of Halo Master Chief Collection, but I like it even less now.
Yes. Yeah, and also Halo Infinite. You know that you hear bad things about that too. I'm sure, right, Triple J? You heard about it?
What?
That Halo Infinite, the season 2 only has King of the Hill, and it's not the King of the Hill you're thinking of in Halo 3. It's a very different King of the Hill dynamic, and if you want to play a different map altogether, you got to play this 13-player battle royale style type of setting. It's part of the playlist for like the first 2 or 3 weeks of the season, and it wasn't all that great. I played it one time and that's it. And last time I played Halo Infinite was at least 2 days ago now. Last time I checked, so I feel like I had more fun playing the Master Chief Collection, especially with Apex Legends, even on have to spend on microtransactions. But Halo Infinite, of all games, like they turn into a live service like that on Fortnite, and it's like they brought the old and new gamers together, but Halo gamers, that is, and it's just they turn it's like for the next 2 years, 3 years, they're gonna keep slowly putting out content, and it's just not enough. Because if you want that player base to maintain your servers or the consistency in your servers, you have to keep putting out content on a regular basis, not some 3-6 month, if not 1 year, time period of every period.
Yeah. So I mean, I hate that Halo Master Chief Collection felt like they had to dabble in this. I mean.
Yep.
Ready to move on?
Yes.
Okay. Next, Lego Brawl's delightful chaotic sets it apart from Smash Brothers. Lego Brawls looks like it belongs among the resurgence of side-scrolling cartoonish fighting games that have recently cropped up to join the ranks of Nintendo's beloved Super Smash Bros. Series, but expecting it to be much of a fighting game with all the complexity that entails would be a mistake. Lego Brawls is more accurately described as the items side of Super Smash Bros. Fight, a whole lot of unpredictable, intense chaos with a fairly low skill ceiling and a high degree of approachability. We played a few rounds of Lego Brawls at Summer Games Fest, including both its single-player and couch co-op matches. In single-player, you get into 8-player matches, which can also be played online, where 2 teams fight their way through different Lego-themed locations, bashing each other and trying to capture specific spots on the map in order to earn points. It's similar to Smash Brothers and other fighting games in its presentation and map design, but that's about it. In terms of the actual experience, LEGO Brawls is more about embracing chaos. Each
Hey,
player
Triple
gets
J.
a melee object they can bash opponents with, a dash for getting away from incoming beatdowns, and a double jump for getting around. You have a health meter that determines how much of a wallop you can take, but melee fights generally are pretty simplistic. Your real goal is to find items. As in a Smash Bros. Game, certain items randomly spawn around the map, giving you weapon power ups of 3 different classes, each better than the last. The items provide access to better gear, which you determine with your loadout. For instance, I chose a plunger as my melee weapon and alien blaster, ice cream truck, and dragon as the other items in my loadout. I don't get access to those other weapons until I find the items in the map, allowing me to call out my ice cream truck, say, and drive it around the map. The truck has armor offering extra protection from attacks and hits harder than my plunger, but it only lasts a limited time. So the idea is that you're hoping to find items that give you access to your best gear, so you
Sorry
can
about
turn
that.
the tides of. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry about that. I'm back. I was just distracted for a second.
All right, so you can turn the tides of a battle or blast away at some other player's better weapons and keep them from crushing your team. The inclusion of these items means that every fight is a nonsensical combination of ludicrous elements, like spaceships, horseback knights, giant robots, and whatever else might exist in the various LEGO sets that make up Brawls. Playing alone, I took part in an 8-player match against the AI, but even with non-humans, the whole thing created a delightful storm of nonsense. Brawl's controls don't require a ton of skill to play or excel with, but the game makes up for that approachability by forcing you to anticipate, strategize around, and deal with a bunch of goofy mayhem. Though you have multiple items at your disposal for your loadout, they're equalized by tier, so while my dragon could breathe fire, it was no more powerful than whatever another player might equip into that same spot, like a spaceship. By the same token, my melee plunger is equal to a glowing green alien sword. The ice cream truck plays differently from another item you might choose in its place, but it doesn't give you an advantage over other players' choices, which allows you to pick items based on aesthetics and playstyle. In fact, you're encouraged to get pretty ridiculous with your weapon and character choices. As you play through LEGO Brawls, you're always earning experience points that unlock pieces from various LEGO sets. When you start, whether alone or with friends, you choose a LEGO theme, and you play time then goes to unlocking pieces from that particular theme. A few we saw include classic LEGO sets like Castle in Space, as well as newer ones such as Ninjago and Jurassic Park. That last set was the only licensed theme that popped up during our playtime, and it's unclear whether you can expect to see other licensed sets in the future. But there definitely will be more themes, all of which will be free and which can come into the game either as updates or limited time offerings for different in-game events. The themes added what was possibly the most fun aspect of LEGO Brawls, creating an absolutely idiotic character with which to smack around your friends. I built an awful looking down cowboy hybrid, wielding a deadly plunger complete with the horse the cowboy should be riding, which was more like a horse-shaped apron that my clown wore on his chest. Editor Jordan Ramey, on the other hand, quickly put together some kind of scarred and scary private character wielding a pair of melee cheerleading pom-poms. And the aforementioned Jurassic Park set included all the characters from that franchise's movies, including the shirtless Jeff Goldblum as Ian Malcolm. You can take pieces from any character or set and mix them together. So while I made a clown cowboy, I absolutely wish I had constructed a hot shirtless down chaotician. While the larger 8-player matches are relegated to single-player or online play, couch co-op fights are similar free-for-all bouts with up to 4 players. Our match in a tightly built volcano that had the same voice vibes as Smash Planet's ZB's level did away with our loadout weapons because of the smaller scale. Instead, each map had its own specific items you can find scattered around the arenas. The volcanoes sported boxes that offer a significant advantage, and boss you could, I'm sorry, Gizmo, you could ride to plow through your opponents. Ultimately, though, it was the Java that proved our worst opponent, although video producer Dave Klein was a formidable foe as well, ultimately blasting both the Rodeo Down and Pirate Cheerleader. LEGO Brawls isn't likely to replace other couch co-op fighting games, but it doesn't need to. Instead, It provides an over-the-top take on party gameplay all its own, made all the more enjoyable by its ridiculous customization options. You might not spend hours learning characters and perfecting combos, but LEGO Brawl seems like it'll provide a good time with friends, especially those who aren't hardcore gamers. Look for it on Nintendo Switch, PC, Xbox One, Xbox Series, PS4, and PS5 on September 2nd. Is LEGO Brawl something that sounds like you would play? Because
Yeah.
I know you like Smash Brothers.
Yeah, Smash Brothers was all right to play back in the day, especially with the Wii U version. But the Lego, if it's similar to that of the Smash Bros, yeah, why not? It's
Well, it's gonna be more ridiculous, basically.
brightly slapstick humor, kind of my fashion.
Um, well, you're gonna see creations like someone created a scarred pirate using pom poms as a weapon.
Okay. Don't maybe get my ass kicked by pom poms, but all right.
Pom pom wielding pirate. So that's something you could see.
All right, I got my interest now.
So this sounds like something you would play.
Yeah, definitely. I unfortunately
Me
can't
too.
say much about it. I will admit I haven't got just to watch the trailer. If there is a trailer out there for the Lego Brawl, so
Yeah. It sounds like it's not trying to copy Super Smash Brothers. It's just trying to carve out something different.
mhm.
It's kind of like the games WWE All Stars, WWE WrestleMania arcade game, which weren't traditional wrestling sims. They were arcade
Yeah.
games. They went over the top. This sounds like it's kind of that in the fighting game family.
Mhm.
So I definitely would at least try it out. I don't know how much time I would spend customizing someone, but I mean, if the name of the game is to make the most ridiculous character with the most ridiculous weapons, um,
Mhm.
I just wonder what I would end up being able to create.
Yeah.
Ready to move on?
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Next, and I got something to say about this. Canceled Scarface 2 game leaks footage leaks on YouTube. The unreleased open world climb game was to be set in Vegas but got canned in 2009.
Oh wow.
Remember in 2006 when we got a Scarface game set after the ending of the classic 80s gangster flick? It was a weird setup, but the end result was a slightly clunky yet kind of fun GTA-like open world game. Apparently it did well enough that a sequel began development, but it was never finished. However, new footage from that cancelled Scarface sequel has surfaced online, giving us a good look at the follow-up that never was. The newly released footage of this never-released sequel, which was known as Scarface Empire, comes courtesy of YouTube channel Mafia Game Videos. The footage shows an early build of the game showcasing the new Las Vegas setting, upgraded graphics, improved combat, and lots of swearing. Mafia Games video footage demonstrates combat and driving, as well as a new mechanic called Revive, that would have let Tony survive encounters with random armed thugs. This might have worked like a QuickTime event, letting the player recover if they succeeded or die if they failed. The video also shows off a load of supposed concept art for the never-released sequel. Over on Twitter, Mafia Game Videos shared more clips and screenshots of the early build. The channel also shared info on the engine reportedly powering the game, explaining that it was using modified tech first seen in the open world. Hulk games developed by Radical Entertainment. That tech would also go on to power the studio's open world prototype games. Just let me go past the Twitter threads that they included. Rumors have long swirled of a Scarface sequel being developed, but this is the first footage of the game to surface since its untimely demise. The first Scarface game idea that Tony Montana had somehow survived the big shootout at the end of the original film was always a bit silly and definitely missed the whole point of the film. It also lets the devs at Radical Entertainment create a new rags to riches story featuring the hot-headed gangster as he rebuilds his empire. And sure, in a lot of ways the game was just a GTA Vice City clone, but to be fair, GTA Vice City is in a lot of ways a Scarface clone, so it only seems fair. Plus the game ended up being a pretty fun PS2 era open world climb caper. Sometimes big mindless shootouts and virtual drug dealing just hits the spot, you know? While it's unlikely to ever happen, I'd love to see the first game get a remaster or modern re-release to make it easier to play in 2022. I'd rather play that than the remastered Vice City, at least. So, what does it sound? What do you? How do you feel? Because it sounds like when it's definite that we're never going to get a Scarface 2.
Who put this thing together? Me! Who's the one who put the fucking feed the family? Me! I'm Tony Montana! You cannot do this to me! Right, James?
Just wait until you're done, then I'll say what I have to say.
On a serious note, yeah, that's from Scarface 2, the Who Put This Thing Together. I kind of re-uploaded that trailer of Scarface the game on my YouTube many weeks ago. And I never played the game, I will admit that, but I did watch the movie. This is always Scarface movie, so I got it on DVD. It's alright, good movie. Mr. What's his name? The actor Al Pacino. He did an awesome job in the Godfather series. You know, perfect. You know, He also started a movie with Keanu Reeves in The Devil's Advocate back in the 1990s. So that was a good movie as well. So, you know, it would be nice if they reinvigorate that project, Scarface 2. What they can do actually is that resell the first Scarface movie. I mean, it was not Scarface. Well, they re-promote the Scarface movie altogether on Steam or whatever movie streams are out there, and then at the same time, hopefully within a matter of weeks or months after that fact, you know, after that release, they can put the re-release of Scarface in an HD, not a remake, but an HD remaster of some sort, you know, and then during that time they do like a full release of the Scarface 2. Perfect timing, you know, right? So, you know,
did you ever play this? You said you never played the first Scarface game.
No, never did, not yet.
Okay. Well,
but I did watch the movie.
I think it's for PS2. I think it's also out on Xbox.
Yep.
If I'm not mistaken.
You're right. I have my eye on it for a couple of years now. I never got a chance to have the money to pay for it though. They ask you $50 for, or at least $60 for either used or brand new game. And I hope
it's not that much used. I looked up it recently. You can find it for like around 20 used.
Okay, so it's $60 brand new, and and I like to have it brand new. So I'll put my eye on it for a few, at least a couple of years now. It's good. The movie itself, then it encouraged me to act like Tony Montana has sometimes on the internet. I will admit that to some people out there. To those who are well aware of my old Facebook profile, I put a picture up, you know, him posing with the M16 with a grenade launcher in his hand. He's like, "You want a piece of me? I'm Tony Montana. Come talk to me, boy. Talk to me." You know, like he's, you know, like a tough guy in that scene. It was it was one of the best movies in the 1980s, if not. If it's one of the best movies in the 1980s, it has to be one of the best movies of the 20th century. So it's yeah, man, it's, you know, I really wonder if they could just put that into motion. But in today's world, you're lucky if they're gonna re-release it on 4K and stuff, because who really wants to watch, you know, a misogynist, quote unquote, a rapist, or, you know, a sexist? You know, that's what they got called Tony Montana, right? So that's JW. So.
I mean, I saw the movie once. My boss loaned it to me when I worked at M&M Chimney. So this was like 08 or 09.
Okay.
And he loaned me the Scarface game also. I had to give him the movie right back. I ended up selling the game. I wish I hadn't. I do want to get it back for PS2 or Xbox to play through it. What happened is the big shootout at the end of the movie where Tony Montana died.
Yeah.
It's what if Tony Montana hadn't died. He had been able to escape the mansion.
I'm well aware of it.
If he had been able to escape the mansion, and then what does Tony Montana do once he escapes the mansion, where the big shootout happened?
He declares war on the entire city.
Well, it's all about rebuilding his empire.
Pretty much, yeah.
I like the scene after you escape the mansion. He's like you. I don't want to say it on Twitch, so I'll just.
You make it censored.
Well, no, it's just he drops the F-bomb.
Who put this thing together? Me.
No,
So get to the bad guy.
He's like, you effed up, Tony. You didn't listen, and he just realizes, okay, I got to rebuild from scratch. I got to rebuild my empire from basically nothing, and basically you have to make deals with businesses, kind of like Grand Theft Auto Vice City, how you created your own empire as Tommy Vercetti.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a fun game. I'm planning to get it back. I definitely will play it on stream once I get my hands on it. I just wish that and you know what? Why not make a remaster of the 2006 game, and then if the remake does well, why not get back to work on Scarface 2?
Indeed.
They didn't say who was in charge of it. I forget who made the first Scarface game, but I mean, it's definitely something I would like to see, because imagine Scarface character in Las Vegas instead of Miami.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we might not ever see it again. We might never see it,
especially in today's world. People will freak out with what they saw from 2006 of the video game and 1980s of the movie. Like, people will be like, "What the fuck is this?" They'll be offended like crazy. They want to kill the maker of the Tony Montana character.
Oh, I think with woke culture and stuff starting to be on the decline, I think we might actually. I don't think that would be a reason. Because to create the second game, I think by the time the second game would create, even if they started development right away, by the time it came out, woke culture would be back in the minority, and most people would be able to just say, "Hey, here's a over-the-top character," I mean, hey, it worked in 2006.
Oh yeah. Well, it's 2006, my friend.
If we're starting to move away from this being triggered and insulted by everything under the sun, why not make work on Scarface 2? I'd love to see I'd love to see Scarface in a Las Vegas.
You're right.
Especially since the first game was so great.
Oh yeah.
So if the developers out there, I don't know who they are. I don't know which company was under it, but if you still have the Scarface license, start work on the Scarface 2 game again. If you don't have the license, and no one has the license, get the license and start Scarface 2. I'd love to see it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to test the waters, just remaster the first game first and see how well that does.
Oh yeah, it's gonna shock the entire gaming culture today, because I'm not saying that we're not gonna have any niche audiences out there buying it, but the overall, Nia Sarkeesian and Joe Quinn are gonna come back in the spotlight saying that they're misogynists, these gamers. They fuck up girls, and they'll say all that. They'll say everything under the sun.
But this isn't 2014. Their star has fallen. They've basically, both those women have fallen into obscurity.
Not necessarily, not yet, because they fucked up. They had their hand in messing up Cyberpunk release. Nia Sarkeesian literally had her hand involved.
Zoe Quinn has definitely fallen into obscurity. Anita Sarkeesian, she's like a fraction of. She has maybe a fraction of popularity that she did years ago.
Okay. All right.
So, I mean, if you look at her YouTube channel, it's still up, and she's still making videos, but they're getting a fraction of the views they used to.
Yeah, probably get most of the feminists listening on their videos. That's about it. And some male feminists. That's about it.
So, I mean, I'd love to see a Scarface 2 sequel. I guess maybe stay positive.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. I would love to definitely get the remastered version of Scarface, and also if they ever put on Xbox Series of Scarface 2. So, the movie is good. I love it from start to finish. I always wanted to have some kind of style or lifestyle of that map. Not the drug lifestyle, but the rich part of the lifestyle. Like if you had to earn my way up to something of decency and legitimacy, I'll be like, have my own guns, have my own gold and silver, the because that was the American dream back in the 1980s and 90s for us.
Right.
Or at least that's what we wanted to pursue. Some of us, that is, and that's one of
Right.
that's I was one of those guys. Like if I put my mind to it, work hard, connect with people, network with people, avoid impulse people. I'm talking about the ones who are ruining society at large, and I'll be fine, But in today's world, it's declining of the culture wars and canceling culture and stuff like. Because I guarantee you, if they re-release all these games, Al Pacino will be part of the cancel culture somehow, some way. The makers of the game Scarface will be on cancel culture, status. So it sucks.
But you say that, but they did re-release Vice City,
Oh.
and they didn't bastardize that.
Well, you have to understand it was a horrible launch, so it didn't matter to whoever outside of that gaming circle, because I felt ashamed, I felt embarrassed when it into the trilogy remakes, you want to call them that, or remasters. Like that was a poor job what they did with Vice City, San Andreas, and I'm not sure about 3, but definitely San Andreas. I played a lot of it because it was available at the Game Pass for a while, and it wasn't. Well, it didn't catch my eye. I'm not going to buy it anytime soon if I really want to play them again. So,
All right. Yeah. So again, hopefully the some company does come if the first developer's not around, or the first developer does pick up the license and decides to continue Scarface 2.
indeed.
Ready to move on?
And I hope when Al Pacino passes away. Now I'm not. Goodness forbid that is right. So when the time comes when Al Pacino passes away, I hope they'll remember him around this in a certain amount of time if they can to re-bring these games again. That'll be the best timing for it. But they're also able to combat that Twitter hailstorm after he dies. Because when people find out who he is when he dies, they have to say he's a misogynist. He played The Godfather. He's a misogynist and shit. The same bullshit over and over. So come back.
Yeah,
there.
but you can't. But we also need more people in the world who don't care what those people have to say.
Yeah, well, they did a number on what's his name, the one that the first 007 Bond agent, the one that was in the movie the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, Sean Connery. They dragged him through the mud on Twitter a lot because of his misogynist, whatever they said on Twitter about his 007 character. It was ridiculous. That was like a year or two ago it happened.
That's why we can't submit to these people's complaints.
Oh yeah, tell me about it.
Ready to move on?
Yes, indeed, I'm all ready.
All right. Next, Sonic Origins developer is quote unquote very unhappy with current state of the remastered collection. What is in Origins is also not what we turned in. Sonic Origins developer Simon Thomley has hit out at Sega following a rocky launch of the remaster collection. Thomley, who is the founder of Headcanon, the co-development studio for Sonic Origins, has taken to Twitter to vent his frustrations, alleging that Sega introduced wild bugs into the game. This is frustrating, he said. I won't lie and say that there weren't issues in what we gave to Sega, but what is in Origins is also not what we turned in. Integration introduced some wild bugs that conventional logic would have one believed were our responsibility. A lot of them aren't. Headcanon previously worked with Sega on the well-received Sonic Mania in 2017. It assisted with Sonic Origins remastering Sonic 3 and Knuckles for the collection. However, Thomley now alleges that he and his team essentially worked on a separate project that was then wrangled into something entirely different. We knew going in that there would be a major time crunch, and we worked ourselves into the ground just to meet it. So this would even be made and released, said Thomley. Again, I can take responsibility for my and my team's mistakes, and there were some. Some actual mistakes, some overlooking some rush jobs, some stuff we noticed but weren't allowed to correct near the end. It's absolutely not perfect, and some of it is from us. It's complicated. Essentially, Thomley states that he and his team are unhappy with the state of the game. Since its release, a number of bugs and issues affecting Sonic Origins have been reported by eager fans, and the overall reception has already been less than positive. I'm extremely proud of my team for their performance under such pressure, but every one of us is very unhappy about the state of Origins and even the Sonic 3 component, he said. We weren't too thrilled about its pre-submission state either, but a lot was beyond our control. Sonic fans have been disappointed with the number of bugs, such as Tails becoming stuck off-screen in Sonic 2, as well as particle issues and instances of Sonic getting stuck on hills. We asked to do major fixes near submission, but weren't allowed to due to submission and approval rules, said Thomley. We asked about delays early and repeatedly, but were told they weren't possible. We offered to come back for post-release fixes and updates. We do not yet know if this is happening. We want these problems to be addressed, he said. We provided a ton of feedback during and after development for both Origins and its Sonic 3 integration. We've done a good chunk of work after our team was over to fix things, support Sega, and to prepare for future updates. Elsewhere, Sonic fans aren't happy after Sonic Origins released the original soundtrack for Sonic 3, while Sonic creator Yuji Naka has walked back his suggestion that Michael Jackson was involved with those original tracks. So, what do you think about Sonic Origins developer basically being unhappy and not being able to fix what they knew needed to be fixed?
Now, the person who mentioned this, he's a developer, right?
Yep.
But if he knew that, then why not not publicly, but why tell the higher ups to have it fix the problem? That don't make any sense.
Because they were saying we could fix this, and Sega saying no, but you don't have time. They basically were being told from their bosses, no, you got to get it developed by this due date. We're not delaying the game. You got to get this done. And the developer says the final version. Are you still there? Okay, technical difficulties.
Hello, can you hear me right now, Triple J?
Hey, you disappeared for a moment.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. It just disconnected. So okay. I was saying.
So yeah, what happened? As I was saying, basically they worked on the game. They knew they needed more.
Yeah, just keep messing up. Like I'm reconnected the wiring, so it should work right now.
Okay. So anyway, as I was saying, what happened was they knew they needed more time, and basically they didn't get the time, and they said, "Listen, we got these glitches that we need to fix." And Sega was saying, "We don't care. You have a deadline. You have to meet it." And then he saw the final state of what Sonic Origins was, and he's like, "Wait a minute. This is not what we worked on." So what do you have to say about that situation?
Well, I have to say it's a bad move on Sega's part. And if they're trying to disconnect my connection again, Sega, then we're telling the truth that you should have not done that by releasing it too quickly. And what's worse on their part too, what Sega did or whoever's in charge with the store front of these gaming stores like the Xbox store and such. Xbox store, they got rid of the Sonic 1, Sonic 2, Sonic 3, I think also Sonic and Knuckles.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah, like that was a horrible move on their part because you can make more money in the long term with those games still, even if it's in each of their original gaming. And they also got rid of Episode 4, Episode 1 and 2, episode of the fourth Sonic game. Yeah, Sonic 4. So it's like, should we really contribute more to our money to Sega for messing up on their end on purpose for sake of money making? It's
right.
I really don't. Yeah.
And what about the developer telling Sega repeatedly, we need more time, and Sega saying you don't have it?
Yep. Oh yeah.
So, when we heard what Sonic Origins was going to be, I remember saying just get the Sonic games for Genesis and Sega CD. Sonic 4 was not on. I don't think was on Origins.
Yeah.
I think it was 1, 2, 3, Knuckles, and Sonic CD.
Yeah.
And like I said, get those original games in their original format.
Oh,
get
yeah.
a Sega Genesis and Sega CD if you need to.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll probably have a much better time because of this one having so many glitches in the final version.
Yep.
Ready to move on?
I also want to say too that when it comes to the Sonic games, like actually specifically the Sonic movie that came out earlier this year, this Sonic Origins game could have been a good add-on to the sales with the Sonic movie. So when people find out about Sonic Origins as these new gamers that come into the market buying their product, they could also bought the Sonic 1 and 2 movies as well. But thanks to the Origins, screw up, thanks to the Sega themselves, goodbye. They could kiss their extra sales goodbye on those movies. So that's all I got to say.
Yeah. So that's the state that basically Mr. Tomley is saying, if you're not happy with Sonic Origins, don't be mad at us because we're not happy with how it turned out ourselves either.
Mm-hmm.
Ready to move on?
Yep.
All right. Next. Legend of Zelda creator Shigeru Miyamoto apparently cringed when he first saw Wind Waker art style. The Legend of Zelda The Wind Waker is a beloved game in the long-running Zelda series, but when it was first revealed, the reception was mixed. Some were completely on board, ready for this new take on the franchise, while others weren't too happy about the visual style of the game. The latter party apparently included Legend of Zelda creator Shigeru Miyamoto. According to a translation of an old issue of Nintendo Dream magazine by Did You Know Gaming, Wind Waker director Eiji Aonuma and Miyamoto literally cringed when he first saw the game's visual style, as reported by Video Game Chronicle. If I had gone and talked to him from the very beginning, I think he would have said, "How is that Zelda?" Aonuma said in the magazine. Miyamoto had trouble letting go of the realistic Link art style until the very end. At some point, he had to give a presentation against his will. That's when he said something to me like, it's not too late to change course and make a realistic Zelda. Miyamoto is a legend, obviously, but it might have been a good thing that Aonuma trusted he and his team's instinct and continued forward with Wind Waker's art style. The game's all the more memorable for it. For more about Miyamoto, read how he wants to make the world a better place, and then check out the story about how the latest Zelda, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2, whatever its sequel ends up being titled, has been delayed out of 22 and into spring of 2023. So did you ever play Wind Waker? I think it was on GameCube?
Not yet, unfortunately.
Okay, but you know how the graphics of the game looks.
I heard they heard some bad things about the certain version of Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. Am I right?
I haven't heard any bad things. It does look, the graphics do look completely different.
Okay.
Especially for GameCube standards. But the thing is, what do you think of Miyamoto literally cringing when he first saw the graphics for this game?
Well, I didn't see the video of Miyamoto cringing, but
No, but I mean, what do you think about that report that he literally cringed the first time he saw it?
Well, to be honest with you, I'm not a big Zelda fan or a big Zelda gamer, so I can't say much about over the decades of Zelda since 1987, that was his first game. I did see the progress. Robert Williams, he named his daughter after the Princess Zelda, so it's rest in peace his soul. It's just that the way it's been like with the game industry is for the last 7 years easily. I have to say, it's going down the tubes. Not a literal tube sense, but it's a hit and miss. It's, you can't just put this game together like it's nothing and think it's like gonna sell very well. Because if I recall correctly,
as history has points out, obviously Miyamoto was wrong because Wind Waker is one of people's most favorite games of Zelda.
Okay.
Behind the N64 games and the NES and SNES. Some people might even have Zelda the Wind Waker higher than those games, depending on the person.
Okay.
So it's not like we're talking about something like Twilight Princess or another Zelda game that was on a Nintendo console and has been forgotten.
Okay.
Wind Waker is one of the more memorable ones for the good reasons. But it's just it's a good thing that the creator stuck to his stuck to his what he created and said, "No, I have confidence in this." And it turns out most people love Wind Waker.
Mm-hmm.
Ready to continue?
Yep.
All right. Still got a handful of things. So,
Yep.
Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection gathers 10 games in one huge bundle. When the first Mega Man Legacy Collection launched in 2015, players hoped there was more to follow. Sure enough, there was a Mega Man Legacy Collection 2, Mega Man X Legacy Collection, Mega Man X Legacy Collection 2, and Mega Man Zero ZX Legacy Collection followed in subsequent years. However, one pain point among the fan base is the lack of a modern way to enjoy the myriad Mega Man Battle Network titles. Today, Capcom has finally gave that segment of the fan base what it's been clamoring for with the Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection. Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection gushes 10 games from the series, along with over 1,000 illustrations, and a music mode featuring more than 150 songs. The collection includes Mega Man Battle Network, Mega Man Battle Network 2, Mega Man Battle Network 3 White and Blue, Mega Man Battle Network 4 Red Sun and Blue Moon, Mega Man Battle Network 5 Team Proto Man and Team Colonel, Mega Man Battle Network 6 Cybeast Gregar and Cybeast Palzer. Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection is slated for PS4, Switch, and PC, so no Xbox, and launches in 2023. Were you a big fan of the Mega Man Battle Network games?
Mega Man. Oh man. Last time I played Mega Man. Excuse me. Last time I played Mega. Got this fly around here. Last time I played Mega Man was at least how many years ago? Wow. Excuse me if I.
So you never were a fan of the battle. Were you a fan of the Battle Network games?
I don't know about Battle Network, but definitely the if I recall correctly, Super Nintendo had Mega Man of the 1990s when I was at Disney World. When I was at Disney World in 1994, I played a few minutes of the Mega Man in one of those time sharing estates, and it looks beautiful. The estate last time I remember, and I met these kids. We had a good time playing Mega Man. It was a good experience. Other than that, I never really bought an actual Mega Man game. I do want to buy the Mega Man Ultimate Collections, 1 and 2, I think it's called. So I want to get those when they're on sale again. So.
Yeah, I never played the Battle Network games. I did see on Xbox they have the Mega Man Legacy Collection, which is like supposed to be 1 through 6 or 1 through 10. I forget which. And then I think they got the Mega Man X Legacy Collection, which is the Mega Man X games.
Yes.
In a collection. And honestly, I want to get those collections because I'm a huge. I shouldn't say I'm not a huge fan of Mega Man. I didn't play it until I became an adult.
Mm-hmm.
But I had a blast the couple of times I did play it via emulator.
Oh, yeah.
So I would love to play the original Mega Man games and the Mega Man X games, and honestly, if you want to play all those games, some Mega Man games are like $200 currently.
Oh yeah.
So these collections are definitely the way to go unless you got some money to burn. So yeah, Battle Network. I really didn't understand what those games are about. I figured they were maybe like online only or mostly online or whatever. Maybe I was wrong. But if it's anything like the other Mega Man collections, sounds awesome. I'm still waiting to get my hands on the other collections first.
Right.
Ready to move on?
Yep.
All right. Next. This 10-game bundle is like a mystery grab bag, and it's only $7. Steam keys from Square Enix, Deep Silver, Team 17, and more, all up for grabs. Feeling lucky and have a few bucks to spare? Consider taking a look at the Magnificent Mystery Machine Bundle from Fantastical, which is offering 10 mystery games for just $7. There's no telling what games you'll get, but Fanatical did drop a few hints mentioning possible inclusions from Deep Silver, Team 17, Square Enix, and more. There's also the possibility to snag 5 releases from 2022, although again, the specifics are a mystery. If you're curious about the bundle but don't want to drop $7, several different tiers are available. You can invest anywhere from $1 to 7 to get anywhere from 1 to 10 games total. All products are offered as Steam keys, and every purchase comes with a 5% off coupon for your next order. Also, keep in mind you won't receive any repeat games in this bundle, but if you purchase a second bundle, there's a chance you'll get a duplicate. If you're looking for a cheap way to add games to your Steam collection, but aren't in the mood for a surprise, be sure to check out the ongoing Steam Summer Sale. The massive sale includes price cuts on Monster Hunter Rise, Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, Cyberpunk 2077, and more. Or you could stick around on Fanatical and pursue its Red Hot sale, which is discounting over 6,000 titles, such as Neon White and Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Amazon Prime members should make sure to cash in on all the free games available leading up to Prime Day. This includes titles such as Metal Slug 2, The King of Fighters 2002, Hue, and over a dozen others. Once Prime Day kicks off, you'll also find Mass Effect Legendary Edition and other big titles available for free. So, what do you think of this this mystery grab bag? Well, first, do you play games on Steam?
Sometimes I do, especially with Tekken 7 for the last few months, couple of months at least.
So, is this something you would try? Is this something you would pursue in this mystery bundle, since it's only $7?
How long would that last? How long's the sale?
They don't have an end date.
Oh, so it's starting right now?
Yeah, this article was written on the 29th.
Oh wow! So I guess this means that because they call it a 3,000 summer sale on the Steam right now. So if it's going on right this second with that $7 offer, I'll definitely buy
No,
it.
it's a 10-game bundle, but there's no telling what 10 games it will be. That's the mystery.
I understand. How many games are involved in the mystery bundle?
They said you'll get 10. They didn't say which 10 they would be, and they didn't say how many there is total.
So if let's say there's like at least 1,000 games on Steam, they're not gonna add the randomizer of those 1,000 games bundle for that 7-game bundle or 10-game bundle.
It depends on what games are part of this promotion.
So if it's a summer sale, which is going on right this second until July 7th or 8th, it'll be like involved with Tekken, involved with Rainbow Six Siege and Devil May Cry 5, that type of stuff, right? Those other games.
They did, yeah. They have the developers. They said, and that's basically that's all they said. It's basically a mystery.
Well, here's the thing though: if it's a mystery and you try to promote it, then it should be available on Steam already. Meaning that if you want people to buy your $7 offer, it should be publicly stated on Steam. Because I just checked Steam earlier just tonight and I didn't see nothing like that. So. But I'm sure there's, like you said, you read the article, I understand, but it's just kind of weird, for them to mention it. And it's, right now it's July 2nd, and the summer sale's going on since like June 25th at the earliest. So
I'm surprised in the article they didn't put the end date for how long this would be lasting,
or when it will start selling it.
Yeah, and they didn't say when it first started either. All I know is the article was written the 29th. So it was only written a few days ago.
Mm-hmm.
So I figured it would still be going on. But yeah, if for $7 you get 10 Steam keys to 10 games. You won't get any duplicates in the same thing, but if you buy multiple collections for $7 each, you might end up getting a duplicate in all the different collections.
Okay.
None of the 10 games in the same collection, though, will be a duplicate.
Are we talking about Steam.com or SteamPower.com? Or talking about the website altogether?
It's at Steam Keys.
So it's keys that you could use on Steam.power.com, right?
I guess I don't play games on Steam, so I figured you would know more.
Because I just checked a website called Fanatical.com, and they have this magnificent mystery machine bundle for $7 for 10 mystery keys. So if these keys you can use them on Steam to buy the games, then that would be great. But Steam doesn't mention it on their end about this matter. So It's like
Wow. Yeah, so I mean, I guess proceed with caution since Steam's not mentioning it. But apparently, from what I understood, you pay $7, you get access to 10 games through Steam keys, and you use those keys to, I guess, get the game for free.
All right. Well, it looks like a
Um,
good deal, but at the same time, if SteamPowered.com is not promoted or mentioned that kind of offer, because I'm sure people will buy their product from Fanatical, because that's where it's
yeah.
coming from. So Steam, if Steam was not making money off of it, they're not going to mention it, or that it's not either legitimate or it's not that well mentioned among the game and the public or the people who want to buy games at random. Because websites like GOG.com, you can buy Steam keys or Xbox gaming codes and stuff like that, and use it on the Xbox Store, Steam Powered Store, and the PlayStation Store. So that's a third party though. That's so it's separate altogether. So you know,
So, I mean, if you want to take advantage of this, just be caution. But then again, it's $7 if you end up getting screwed.
yeah, $7. That's enough to get like a bus ride to, here in New
Yeah,
York. So
it's not like it's $70.
yes.
Ready to move on?
Now, if they say 10 games for $70, I think that's a little, you're pushing it.
Yeah, well, that's not really. Well, $70 would hurt a lot more losing if it was like, say, a scam. But I mean, that's honestly that's not such a bad deal depending on what games they are.
Oh yeah.
Ready to move on?
Yep.
All right. Next, July's free PlayStation Plus games include Crash Bandicoot 4 and more. The June 2022 PlayStation Plus lineup of free games has arrived, and it's quite a good one, featuring Crash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time, the Dark Pictures Anthology, Man of Medan, and Arcade Geddon. All three of these games will be available to download for free for all three tiers of subscribers to the newly revamped PlayStation Plus, Premium, Extra, and Essential. You can add each to your library starting July 5th, and they'll be available until August 1st. That means you have until this coming Monday, July 4th, to download last month's free games: God of War 2018, Naruto to Boruto, Shinobi Striker, and Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl. You can read more about the June 22 PlayStation Plus lineup here. Enough about June, though. It's old news. On to July 22. Here's what PlayStation has to say about each of these months' free games. Starting with Crash Bandicoot, It's About Time, PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4. An all-new Crash adventure awaits. Dr. Neo Cortex and Entropy are back at it again and launching an all-out assault on not just this universe, but the entire multiverse. Wield four powerful guardians of space and time that give Crash and Coco the power to bend the rules of reality and conquer dangerous obstacles in exciting new ways. And you'll not only play as the whumping, jumping, marsupial duo, experience things from different perspectives with the one and only Dr. Neo Cortex. Play as Crash, Coco, Tawna, Dungodile, or Dr. Neo Cortex and battle bosses such as Engine, Luis, Nature's Brio, and Nefarious Trophy. The Dark Pictures Anthology, Man of Medan for PlayStation 4. In this branching cinematic horror game from the creator of Until Dawn and The Quarry, 5 friends set sail on a holiday driving trip that soon changes into something much more sinister. All playable characters can live or die, with the choice you make deciding their fate. Experience your terrifying story alone, with a friend online, or go for safety in numbers with up to 5 players offline. Arcade Geddon for PS5 and PS4. Gilly, the owner of a local arcade, is trying to save his business from a faceless megacorporation, Fun Co. And what better way to stick it to the man than with a brand spanking new super game? Unfortunately, the corp gets wind of Gilly's plan and launches a cyber attack, injecting a virus into the game. Now it's up to you to rise up and save both the game and the last remaining local arcade in this ever-evolving co-op multiplayer shooter, offering a mix of player versus PvE versus E and PvP gameplay. You and up to 3 friends online to explore multiple homes, compete in mini games, find hidden chests, and battle a crazy cast of enemies and bosses. While waiting for these games to go live, be sure to download last month's games, and then if you're still unfamiliar with the new PlayStation Plus service, you can find out which tier would be best for you. Are you excited about any of these games offered in July?
Uh, well, well, I think I already bought Crash Bandicoot 4, if I recall. No, I bought the Insane trilogy. I bought. So
Yeah.
I'm still focused on Crash Bandicoot trilogy and also on Crash Team Racing Nitro Refueled. I've been playing those games on and off since 2019 of Crash Bandicoot of the Crash Bandicoot Nitro Fuel, and this is 2021 of Crash Bandicoot trilogy for myself. Well, based on my time. To those that are well aware, I did recordings of it on my big shoot. To those that want to go back to to that website, you might be able to see it on my main channel of YouTube, but that's like going back a year and a half ago, so I'm not sure. Other than that, I definitely will try to do my best to get the Crash Bandicoot 4 if it's on sale. Not right this second. I'm not gonna waste
So
time on
PS4 and PS5 only. So
what Crash Bandicoot 4.
yeah.
Oh, it's PlayStation Plus games. Well, that right there, I can't afford to. So, yeah, if it was on Xbox,
But I'm saying, based on the description, based on the description of these games, does any of these games interest you? Would you want to get them?
if I have PS4, I would definitely probably get. I'll probably get Crash Bandicoot 4 on a decent sale. Especially if it's free. It's why not? Right.
If I had a PlayStation 4 or a PlayStation 5, I would get all three of these games. I do play Crash Bandicoot. Unfortunately, I can only save my progress on the PSP unless I get an actual copy of the original PlayStation game. But I do like Crash Bandicoot's gameplay, although it gets frustrating after a while. The second game, before Arcadegeddon, that reminds me of Heavy Rain, where all playable characters can end up dying depending on the decisions you make.
Mm-hmm.
That's Telltale right there. And then Arcadegeddon sounds like a fun shooter. So, if I had a PlayStation 4 or a PlayStation 5, I would love to try all three of these games.
Oh, yes, indeed.
Ready to move on?
Yep.
Okay. Next. Sucker Punch says it's not working on Infamous or Sly Cooper, and no other studio is either. Sucker Punch Productions, the studio behind 2020's hit new IP Ghost of Tsushima, has revealed it is not working on anything related to its previous Infamous and Sly Cooper franchises. The studio also says that no other developer is working on projects related to the franchise. This news comes from a new blog post highlighting Sucker Punch's 25th anniversary. Since opening its doors more than 20 years ago, the studio has worked on Rocket, Robot on Wheels, the popular Sly Cooper platformer series, the superpowered Infamous series, and of course, Ghost of Tsushima. In this blog post, though, the studio clarifies some things amidst rumors of a Sly Cooper 5 and Infamous remake. As our games continue to grow in scale and complexity, they require the full attention of our studio, the blog post reads. With our focus on our current project, we have no plans to revisit Infamous or Sly Cooper right now, and no other studio is currently working on projects related to those franchises either. These characters are very special and near and dear to our hearts, so while we'd never say never to reopening those doors down the road, for now there are no Infamous or Sly Cooper games in development. Elsewhere, the studio says it will soon perform maintenance on Infamous 2 UGC servers to move them to a new home, allowing them to stay up longer. However, Sucker Punch says it will eventually need to sunset the servers, but they want to keep them running for as long as possible for players who are still active. Sucker Punch is also working on getting Infamous Second Son's Cold Legacy DLC, previously only available as part of the game's Collector Edition, on the PlayStation Store in all territories. Thank you to everyone for an incredible 24 plus years of support, Sucker Punch writes. Your love and appreciation are what fuel us to keep making new games and new worlds, and we look forward to continuing to bring new and exciting ideas to life for many years to come. We're not ready to talk about whatever might be next, but we hope you'll keep following us whenever we're ready to share more. My money's on a sequel to Ghost of Tsushima, but who knows what the studio is working on right now. Hopefully we will learn soon. Would you be interested in a Sly Cooper game or an Infamous game?
Well, to be honest with you, I never really heard too much about Sly Cooper. Infamous, I think I heard of at least once back during like at least 3, 4, 5 years ago. So, if I recall correctly, if that game called Infamous for the 360, right? Was it for the Xbox 360, Infamous?
Um, I think it was also. I think it was PlayStation 3 actually.
Oh, okay. Because
But I know Sly Cooper. I have one of his games. I think it's the third game, Honor Among Thieves, on the PlayStation 2.
oh, okay. So it's going back that far, huh?
Yeah.
Oh wow. I guess you could say back during those times when they were on the Xbox, the original Xbox and PlayStation 2 era, I was focused on PlayStation 2 a lot, the PlayStation brand, because that's all I could my focus was on at the time because of Crash Bandicoot, because of games like Time Crisis, those games that's all I could afford on my end as a kid, and I think I could have asked my mom for more games, but I guess she tamed me enough for the games that I had, so it's like I was grateful that I had 5 games to choose from, 6 games to choose from on a PlayStation 1, and then later PS2. I kind of added more and more to my own library for that over the time I was working since graduating from high school. So, thank goodness for my work ethic. I was able to buy a few games for the PS2. But by the time I started, working from home, or at least what I've been doing for how many, since 2015, 16, and doing odd jobs here and there, it helped me out to maintain a budget. So it's like, I guess you could say I could try Sly Cooper if I have the time, and the money. And so it shouldn't be too expensive, I'm assuming. So,
Yeah. Sly Cooper, I only learned about it because I was asked to review it. Kind of didn't really play as much as I should have before I reviewed it. But anyway, um, yeah, Sly Cooper. From what I have played, I like. I never really got to try Infamous though.
yeah,
That game, that series, basically just has avoided me. So, um, but hey, they did say Sucker Punch did say never.
yeah.
They're not ruling it out in the future. They're just saying not right now.
So they'll try to do their best to put it into a trilogy or put it in some sort of like a remaster version for the
Or
current gen.
or another sequel.
Okay, but if they're gonna do another sequel though, because last time I'm looking at it right now, I do remember Cy Cooper. It looks like a decent game back when I was a kid, but I never got myself to ask my mom to get the game. So like I said, I was busy playing Crash Bandicoot, Pokemon, Time Crisis, a little bit of Street Fighter here and there, Tekken 3. So it's like, Sly Cooper was on my radar at first, but it was like, as time goes along, I forgot about it over the years. And the last time they did a release of the most recent Sly Cooper game was 2013, what I'm looking at right now. So it's like, kind of like, you have to reinvigorate that series through remasters at least. And people will definitely
Fans,
about to do it.
I mean, the fans are still asking for it.
Yeah, but
They
how
obviously
small, how
remember
big,
it.
or how small the fan base is.
Well, like I said, Sucker Punch did say, listen, we can't work on that game and what we're working on now. We need to focus. Our entire team needs to focus on one project. So,
Right.
it's a possibility in the future. We just have to wait and see.
Oh yeah.
Ready to move on?
Yep.
Okay. Next. Nintendo fan buys $40,000 in stock to ex-president about F-Zero revival. One dedicated gamer has revealed that he spent over $40,000 on Nintendo stock, primarily so that he would have an opportunity to ask the company about the possibility of seeing cult classic games revived. According to Business Insider, who spoke to the new shareholder over Twitter direct messages, one unit of stock that equates to 100 shares would allow for the opportunity to attend the shareholder meeting, but getting a question answered wasn't even guaranteed. Fortunately, Nintendo president Shuntaro Furukawa did answer the fans' question about reviving key franchises, and F-Zero specifically during the company's annual shareholder meeting this week. During Nintendo's annual shareholder meeting this week, the anonymous fans' question about key franchises, specifically F-Zero, which hasn't had a new entry since 2004, was answered by Nintendo president Shuntaro Furukawa. It is realistically difficult to develop new titles and remakes, including sequels, for every Nintendo game that people request. We are very grateful and appreciate the expectations our fans have for our games, Furukawa said via VGC translation. One remaster that is reportedly in development is Metroid Prime, with remastered versions of the second and third games also planned. Nintendo has also begun preparing to expand on its first party game production capabilities as the company has invested in more game development technologies, acquired longtime development partner Next Level Games, and will build a new development center next to its main headquarters in Japan. Nintendo's mobile division is also experiencing growth as Fire Emblem Heroes has surpassed 11 billion in lifetime players spending globally. So, did you play F-Zero for Super Nintendo? I think there was a game on N64 as well.
Yep, F-Zero 64. I never got a chance to get the game. It's like expensive as hell to buy the N64 version. However, I bought the F-Zero for the Super Nintendo for about, I would say no more than $20 used, and it's all right to play. Last time I checked, and what's so funny is that I don't know where I put my Super Nintendo games at least most of them. I have like two or three over by my desk next to me. I have two desks. I have the computer desk right here, and my regular desk over there with all my games and stuff and systems of like Super Nintendo and PS2 and other games and movies out there. So it's it's a good game, F-Zero, and I personally.
Would you be interested in seeing a new F-Zero game?
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm not a big F-Zero fan. I'm more of like a follower of the at least the series itself. To the person that tries to buy stock for 40,000 just to give the president attention, what was that about? Look, I understand money talks, but this is ridiculous.
He had the money to spend apparently, and he can sell the shares back. So I guess he had the money at least for a short amount of time. And like he said, he bought enough shares so he knew his question would be answered.
Well, excuse me. I understand money talks, but goddamn. So if I bought $100,000 worth of stock of Nintendo, right? And I want to speak to the current president of Nintendo of America, especially Nintendo of America, like Reggie, if he's still around, that is. He will talk to me most likely. Is that the case?
It depends. I mean, this was a shareholder meeting. This wasn't a special event, so. And we lost contact.
All right, see me right now. Sorry about that.
So, like, the answer to your last question, this was a shareholder meeting. This wasn't a. Can you hear me?
Test. Oh, there we go. Perfect. All right.
Like I said, this was a shareholder meeting. It wasn't a special event, so
okay.
Maybe it would work if you got the money.
Oh man, look, I like Nintendo to some extent, but the way they've been doing business with their YouTubers and other people on the internet altogether, whether they're modders or whether they're game makers, anything like, or even just YouTubers who want to record and play their games and share publicly. They're suing them left and right with copyright claims or with lawsuits and stuff like that to their fans. It's like, I don't know what Nintendo's been up to for the past 10 years, but they're ruining their loyalty with their fans. And once until you turn the fans into enemies of your own fruition, then you destroy yourself as a company in the long run. And people over 30 especially been buying Nintendo games on Nintendo Switch last time I checked. Because let's face it, how many kids under, let's say, 18, 17 years old are playing Nintendo Switch on a constant basis? Usually that's us, 30, 40, 50-year-olds even. Because we've been around playing Nintendo since the 1980s, So.
Well, I'm saying again, this isn't some fan. They're Nintendo shares. He can sell them back, and he could probably make money on them.
Okay, but still, I'm just saying, if you knew that what Nintendo's been doing for the last almost 10 years, why even, I said business is business, but
basically to make money. That's why people buy stocks to begin with.
Yeah, you're right, but the ethic behind the matter, why Nintendo of all stocks,
He got his question answered.
I mean, if that's the
Ready to?
case, I mean, I would feel like slapping in the face if I spent $40,000 in stocks and then later on I tried to record and play like Legend of Zelda on like let's say on YouTube for about 10 minutes. They got copyright claim my video. It's like, I'm paying for the fucker. You know what I'm saying? Like it just.
Oh no, you didn't actually. To be fair, you didn't pay for it. You paid for the stocks.
But you know what I mean, like.
No, that you're talking about two different things. Stockholders, shareholders, basically, unless you did something, the only way you could be really upset is if there was something that put Nintendo in a negative light, which could affect the value of your shares.
Okay.
Anything else would be an unrelated issue.
I guess I'm thinking too much about the matter here. That's my fault. So, but I guess you could say that it's more of what I see at the reputation of Nintendo of today. Okay, because the Nintendo that I know was not like this 10, 20 years ago, if you think about it. So
That's true. It
you
really
gotta
started like
understand, you gotta understand about the history of the as a gamer. If like I said, most Nintendo players of today who are on the Switch, they're like over 30 years old. Like this is what I found out through other gamers. After a while, and I'm not saying that they're wrong for still supporting Nintendo, but it's like add on to 40,000 and all that. Whether you make money or not, let's just leave it at that. If you have to spend $40,000 to get the attention of the president of Nintendo to give back to you for 40,000, whether you make money or not, I don't care. It's something right now at the same time not right there with that matter. Because if I sent a letter to Nintendo of America and reported my complaints to them, they're not gonna listen to me. You know why? Because I haven't bought Nintendo products of today for how many years? I will admit that. Maybe I bought like what's it called? Super Nintendo games from the 1990s, like the Super Nintendo games, but not the Switch, not the Wii U. I got Wii U controllers.
There's no way they would know what you've really done unless you went out of your way to tell them in that letter, if they even read it. I'm sure they probably have some secretary read it.
Yeah.
But the thing is, this guy knew knew what, he was lucky that his question got answered because they didn't say it was a guarantee he would get to ask questions. But he spent the money and he got his question answered, and maybe he'll make profit when he sells the shares.
All right.
Ready to move on?
Yep.
All right. Just a few more, just like 3 more stories. Xbox Games with Mold, July 22. 2 free games are available now. July's lineup of free games for Xbox Live Mold and Game Pass Ultimate subscribers includes a great Diablo-like. The first batch of Xbox Games with Mold, I'm saying that purposely, free games for July are available now. As usual, there are 4 games to claim in July, including 2 Xbox One titles and 2 backward-compatible Xbox 360 titles. Once again, the new Games with Gold lineup doesn't include anything too flashy. Instead, it's a collection of games that normally retail for $20 or less. Beast of Maravilla Island, Relicta, Thrillville Off the Rails, which is the only one I'm interested in this collection, and Torchlight. Again. Beast of Maravilla is the newest game of the bunch. The colorful 3D adventure game launched last June. As a wildlife photographer, you track and observe the magical creatures that inhabit Maravilla Island. It's a tranquil game that revolves around exploring the colorful scenery. Beast of Maravilla Island will be free all throughout July. It holds a very positive user rating average on Steam, so it'll be worth checking out, if you say so, GameSpot. Relicta will probably be of interest for puzzle game fans. Played from a first-person perspective, you wear special gloves that can manipulate gravity and magnetism to solve physics-based puzzles. Throughout the adventure, you slowly solve the mysteries of an abandoned lunar base. Relicta will be free from July 16th to August 15th. Xbox Series X and Xbox One users have a pair of great backwards-compatible games to check out next month. 2. Torchlight is a stellar Diablo-like action RPG played from an isometric perspective. Anyone who likes Diablo's gameplay loop will probably have a good time with Torchlight. Meanwhile, Thrillville Off the Rails is a theme park sim that contains some truly wild and dangerous rides. Thrillville has more than 100 missions as well as dozens of minigames. Thrillville will be free in the first half of July, and Torchlight will be up for grabs starting July 16th. So this is the lineup, um, and honestly, I'm gonna go first in this one.
Of course.
I was calling it Xbox games with mold, um, because yeah, of the 4 games that they're offering, let's go through them. Thrillville off the rails, fine. I've never got to play the Thrillville series, so this will be my first time playing it. As someone who likes Roller Coaster Tycoon, um, it's probably a game I'm gonna like.
Okay.
Torchlight. This is not the first time Torchlight's being
It's
offered.
like the third time, pretty
I,
much.
it's definitely at least the second time, because last time it was offered, I downloaded it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the other titles, the Maravilla Island one, and then Relicta. Let me get the names right. Beast of Maravilla Island. Basically, you explore a tropical island and you take photographs of animals.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what's fun about that.
Well, it's like
Um,
Pokemon Snap, but it's in a different format.
with real animals instead.
Yeah, that too.
Relicta, it's a game like on the surface of Mars. Yeah, you can defy gravity and everything. But I watched a preview and it just didn't seem interesting to me. Like, honestly, I'm not going out of my way to download anything except Thrillville. Like I
Okay.
said, I already have Torchlight.
Yeah.
Um, and the thing is, I mean, this is another thing to show why I'm so upset with games with gold, because you're starting to give us repeats, but we came up with like, what, 15, 20 games in December that they could have given us, that they could have spaced out once a month, with Alan Wake 1, Alan Wake American Nightmare.
I got those
They
two.
could- I know American Nightmare's on Game Pass, but they could have done it. They could have done it 1 month for games with gold. They could have given us, I think, Red Dead Redemption and Red Dead Redemption Undead Nightmare. They could have given us. Do you remember any of the games we brought up all those months ago
Hydro
that have
Thunder.
never been as part of games with gold?
Maybe Hydro Thunder was part of Games with Gold, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, it was. And then they offered it again.
Argamy was also part of the Games with Gold, last time I checked.
Yes, so I'm trying to think of games that we knew. Mafia, I know Mafia 2 was offered, but I don't know
Okay.
if Mafia 1 was.
Alright.
So Mafia, they could have offered. They could have, offered any of these games in like. They could have offered any of these games during specific months as the slam dunk game that people would have loved. And like I'm
Mhm.
saying, they could have spaced this out, used one of those games every month, and then whatever they wanted for the other 3. But this is why games with gold, especially to me, who's been a long time defender, it's no longer worth it.
Yeah.
I'm paying so I can play the same games I already downloaded. At least when I thought they were the month that they offered Hydro Thunder Hurricane again. Originally I thought they were offering Batman Arkham Knight, and I wasn't too upset with that because I was like, Batman Arkham Knight, it's an old game. It came out early in the Xbox One life cycle, at the very beginning of the Xbox One life cycle. So people who didn't have it, this would be great for them,
Oh, yeah.
especially if they like the Arkham games on 360. Speaking of which, they could have offered. I know they have the bundle Arkham Asylum and Arkham City. They could have done that. Because I don't remember those being part of games with gold.
Yeah.
These are games that people would have liked, and I'm not, like I said, I'm not saying that they have to give us these games, but I'm saying they got to do better than giving us games that we've already capitalized on. Otherwise, why are people continuing to spend their money?
Oh, yeah.
What do you have to say?
Well, I'm getting tired of Games of Gold sometimes, not all the time. It's a hit and miss. For the last couple of years, it's not as worthwhile sometimes throughout those 2 years. But before 2018, 2019, give or take, it was worth it. They were giving us Lords of the Fallen. They were giving us Hydro Thunder. They were giving us, and that was a good game. Hydro Thunder we played together. I was like, yeah, you know. But on a serious note, it's just games like that. It's just like why can't they come out with say like Halo 4 or because I don't remember them giving out Halo 4 for free, so they could do something like that. And I'm enticed players to buy more store
or
games.
even on an older Halo game like Halo 3 or one of the Xbox original Halo games.
They already did it with Halo 3 and Halo Reach back in 2015. So
okay.
Yeah, it was the early.
So,
it was gonna be the early for the first year of games with gold for that stuff.
Okay. But I mean, they could have done the original Halo games for Xbox. They could have done, they. Like I said, I'm happy that Thrillville is being offered this month. But they even said in this article, all the games being presented are worth under $20.
What they could do for the next month, if possible, is do the console game. So I think I bought the console game for about a few dollars, about $10 for it. I don't remember when and where I bought the game, but if I don't have the account anymore of that amount, for the game it's like a four game in one type of package, and it costs altogether for about $20 on sale at one point. I could have sworn I bought it, and it looked good to play. But if they could do something like that, like sell that the console, perhaps the Five Nights at Freddy's thing, sell that the first Five Nights at Freddy's, people will definitely rush to your Xbox store and buy the other Five Nights at Freddy's, because at one point they had it on the Game Pass too. So it's like try that. If they hear us, it's a little too early. It's too late for next month, but something like that for next year at the latest.
And like I said, all the titles that never got released. I don't know if they could do the Warriors or Scarface. I have to get those for the
that would
PS2
be great.
or Xbox.
Scarface for the Xbox.
Maybe Scarface: The World Is Yours, the actual game that got released. Maybe they could, because it did come out on Xbox, which is why I bring it up.
I think the reason why.
Maybe they could get that for a game with gold. If anyone, I don't know if anyone from Microsoft will ever hear this, but in case they ever do hear this, these are ideas, Microsoft. Capitalize on them.
Yes. Now, here's the thing, though. I will admit, I've been an Xbox Gold member, if you want to call it like that, since 2008, especially since 2012, when I have the money to buy every month and every year of the matter. It's, I don't know. It's like something you invested so much of your time, so much of your money in, of games for gold and gold membership, and Game Pass is 2017, 2018, give or take, and you don't want to keep losing. You don't want to lose everything in the process that could transfer over to another platform. So they got to spread their balls to some extent. However, though, they know for a fact that if you want to get newer gamers into your market who are like consumer cautious, like they know their rights, so it's hard to find these days of any gamer who actually has studied consumer law. And hopefully whatever we put out there over the years of this podcast, me putting my content out there talking about these matters, not just in a political sense, just in consumer sense. Like, you have to be pro-consumer at every front. All these news and stories we hear about the 2030 deal, where it's like, by 2030 you owe nothing and be happy. You have to keep subscribing to our service in order to get the games, in order to get the system even. That's what's coming down to. And with Windows 11,
that's what it's coming down to with new games, not retro games.
But but still, like the dynamics of how to spend, where to spend. I know it sounds like I'm making this too broad, but this is what I'm seeing a trend in, because now it's like they got you hook, line, and sinker for the first how many years. But for the last couple of years, you hear all these news stories about you're not going to own this, you're not going to own a house, you're not going to own games, you're not going to own systems. And it's like, why should I continue to buy gold if I could just make it silver? Take off the Game Pass, and buy once in a while the Game Pass and play on Steam all the time. And that's what my younger Xbox friends will say to me, or at least one of them, enjoy game. I can't mention that guy name because he understands a thing or two what's going on with the world of game of when and where to buy games, and I know I said I'm too enriching about this matter or too deep into the matter, but this is what's going on. It kind of gets to you. It's like because as a consumer, you want to have confidence what you're buying. That's the ultimate goal. I understand. Yeah.
I was just gonna say, 2022. I have not been a happy games with gold customer.
Right. I'm kind of nonchalant this year because it's like I got at least 300 games to choose from. I have a library. I mean, most of them are digital. By the way, those 300 games, and I can download anytime as long as I'm into that, and that's great. But now it's like once I get rid of gold, once I get rid of Game Pass, it's gonna be a different lifestyle or game lifestyle, I should say, because now you can't access to most of these games because of the gold. You have to have gold subscription to keep playing them, or to be
gold game was that's the difference. Games with gold, if you download the game, you can still play it. You just can't play it online.
Well, if you're buying the Xbox One games, especially.
Let me rephrase that. So, like, say you download Sonic Generations.
Yes.
You'll still be able to play that game all you want, even once your gold subscription runs out, as long as it was downloaded when your games with gold, as long as when your Xbox Live subscription ran out. You just won't be able to download more, like whatever will be on your console. That'll be it, except for disc-based games.
Well, from what I found out, you're right. You're right about the 360 games. You can still play for free if that's your gold membership. But with the Xbox One games like that, let's say, what's that game? Like Tomb Raider the Tomb Raider game. I think there was one Tomb Raider game was free with gold. If you don't have it, have a gold membership, you cannot play the game at all. That's what I hear.
I think you can play it. It's because it's downloaded to your console.
No, it doesn't matter. Until you get rid of your gold, you cannot play those games anymore, especially the Xbox One games. Wow. That's what I found out.
I never tried that. There might be, with how things are going this year, with the lack of work and lack of money coming in, that might be a reality. But at least I'll always have retro.
Well, at least by 2030, James, you owe nothing and be happy, right, man? What's the problem, bro? The New World Order is out there for you.
Anyone who thinks that can suck down here.
This is what's coming to fruition over the next 8 to 6 years.
It's not coming to fruition because what are they going to do? Shut down eBay? Shut down Amazon? Shut down other third-party websites?
No, you can still buy. You can still buy stuff, but the problem is, you're not going to own it. That's the fucked up part.
You will own it.
What about Windows 11? Look at Windows 11. Windows 11 doesn't have you to cut off the internet connection. Like, if you want to use your Windows locally on your computer, you have to connect to the internet at all times. Windows 11, I'm hearing. I've been watching this.
But what I'm saying with websites like Amazon, eBay, Mercari's another one. I could buy this, and I can play this as much as I want as long as I have electricity. I do own this cartridge. Other retro games, same thing. Right. I got Marvel Ultimate Alliance in there for the first one for Xbox. I got Apocalypse for PlayStation. Those games, like I said, as long as I have electricity, I can play those games all I want.
Good point.
And I will own those games. So people who say I will own nothing and like it is completely wrong.
Well, if you want to get into the economic, technical matters, the Federal Reserve owns all property to some extent, and when they cash it in. So it's like if they request the banks, or at least the government, to cash in, they say, hey, you owe us this money, it's all, everything from our games, TVs, you name it. It can just be like bought off, and we can never own it in an official manner. That's what I found out too, so. It's something to think about.
I like to see that happen. I think there would be a revolt if that did happen. Because even in lawsuits, because I do have a couple companies I owe money to, credit card companies, they really only look at properties and vehicles that you own. Yeah, I still got video games. They're not coming after them. I still got my old clothes, because I have like a bunch. Well, I have a few uh, sports jackets, like uh, not suits, but the coats for suits.
Blazers, pretty much.
my old shirts in there.
Yeah,
You know,
blazers.
yeah, blazers and like office style shirts. You know, the button down, long sleeve, short sleeve. They're not coming after that. I wish they would. So,
Oh,
you know,
not literal. It sounds like literal terms, but this is what I talked to someone from in my neighborhood about the matter. He lives in Rochester, about where I live, and he explained to me about the Federal Reserve and all, and the consumer rights, and it's scary at first. What I found out over the years, and he was right about confirming the matter. So it's like, as long as we keep our heads up, and no matter if you're gamers or not, you're still consumers. You still have a right to choose. You have a right to be served, and you also have a right to be informed and to be educated. So as long as they enforce these matters, we'll be happy people, But we have to still own stuff, and to pay for it. Like, once you pay for it, right? You own it, and that's what's going on. That they don't understand these, you want to
but
call them elites.
that's also the difference between buying a product and paying for a service.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'll bring it up again. I got the Mila Jovovich Resident Evil series. I got the entire series on Blu-ray. I could put the Blu-ray in my Xbox One or PS3 and watch those movies as much as I want.
Okay.
So that whole own nothing and be happy, yeah, you can't even fulfill the first part of that prophecy.
Yeah. If we're to call it prophecy.
Ready to move on?
It's more like a declaration.
Yeah, well, it's a false declaration. Ready to move on?
Yeah.
All right. I think we only got a couple stories left. Nintendo Switch Online adds 4 more Genesis games. You can play a collection of Mega Man games, Comic Zone, and the origin of an early gaming meme. Nintendo has announced another slate of games for its Nintendo Switch Online subscription service, this time filling out more of the Genesis catalog that's included as part of the expansion pack. Those include a compilation of Mega Man games, a stylized brawler, and a game best known for its memes. You can catch up with the early Mega Man games in Mega Man: The Wily Wars, a compilation of the first 3 games in the series with some graphical revision. If you beat all 3 games, you can unlock a Wily Tower to confront a new boss. In Comic Zone, you play as a comic book artist drawn into a comic world. You'll have to beat your way through legions of mutants, hopping between comic panels as you go. Target Earth is a side-scrolling shooter that pits you against clone cyborgs with customizable loadouts. Finally, Zero Wing is a side-scrolling arcade shooter, but it's probably most recognizable these days as the source of the Alia-based memes that set the internet ablaze in the early 2000s. As part of the announcement, Nintendo also related that the original Pokemon Snap has been released on the N64 library. That photo Safari game was a fan favorite for years before finally getting a sequel on New Pokemon Snap last year. The N64 library is also part of the expansion pack. The Nintendo Switch Online service includes online play for some games, cloud saves, and a selection of NES and SNES games for $20 per year. The Switch Online expansion pack adds N64, as well as access to expansions like the Animal Crossing, New Horizon, Happy Home Paradise expansion, and the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass for $50 per month. Per month? I thought it was per year. Okay, so what do you think of? Do you have? Are you familiar with any of these Sega Genesis games?
To be honest,
I'll go over them one at a time.
Yeah, go ahead.
First, Mega Man: The Wily Wars.
The what? I heard of Mega Man 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on and so forth, but the what you said?
The Wily Wars. WILY.
Oh, wow. It's just a long time. I don't remember any of that kind of game.
Well, it's the collection. It's a Mega Man collection of 1, 2, and 3.
We're talking about Nintendo Switch here, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's why. Nintendo Switch.
Well, it's a Sega. Well, no. These are the games being added to the Sega Genesis catalog.
Oh, wow. I never remember that exact game.
Well, you know about the Mega Man games, 1, 2, and 3 specifically for Nintendo, right?
The original Nintendo, yes.
Yes, that's the Wily Wars is a compilation of those three, but if you beat all three games, they have a new level that you unlock.
Oh, that's interesting.
So that's Mega Man: The Wily Wars. It's basically a compilation of one Mega Man 1, 2, and 3, but for Sega Genesis.
Interesting.
And since it's on Sega Genesis, it also offers upgrades to the graphics as well.
Mm.
The next Sega Genesis game, Comic Zone.
Hey,
Did you ever play that one?
never heard of Comic Zone before.
Okay. The next one, Target Earth.
Nope.
And the last one, Zero Wing.
Zero Wing. I saw like something from like Xbox 360. I don't know. To be honest with you, I never heard any of these games before, so I can't say much. But if I really want to buy Nintendo Switch Online, and Nintendo Switch,
Right.
and Nintendo altogether never had a paid for monthly, yearly online service. If I recall
They
correctly,
did. They did with the Switch. That it was brand new with the Switch.
okay, with the Switch, that's the most recent. But with Wii U and earlier, it wasn't the case. So it's like,
Nope.
why now you want to make money, cash, milk that cash cow. It's kind of like
Well, they want to compete. They want to compete with Xbox Live and PlayStation Plus. They don't want to be continued.
But if they have,
But-
if Nintendo's the only one with the free service, people will flock to that to some extent.
Well, they're not the only ones with the free service. It's not free to begin with.
But you know what I mean? Like if you look, I understand that Xbox Live started all this, monthly, yearly subscriptions to play online with other players. But PC players don't have to do that. And if you are a PC player for how many years, they could definitely confirm the matter. I mean, most PC gamers are like, are very forthright and also anal about paying monthly services for just to play PC games. Now, of course, we have World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy 14, maybe a little bit of Black Desert here and there, and other games out there. But other than that, the rest of the PC market is like you buy the game, you play online for free, and that's it. So if Nintendo, as a console, not a PC, but as a console, if they can be the ones on the block without the excessive services, with making people pay extra for what they bought a full game price for, I would flock to Nintendo for say a few bucks. But
All right.
I understand they're trying also to rehash the games from like 20, 30, 40 years ago into Nintendo Switch's system. So, they're trying to
Yeah.
make people. It's like you have to have money, make money somehow, some way to maintain these services. So I guess you understand where you come from.
Because not to mention also they have cloud saves, so you can. The good news is, if you're playing any of the games, whether it's NES, SNES, N64, or Genesis, you can save your progress at any time. So you don't have to worry about writing down and putting in passwords if you leave a game and want to continue. You can just save it to the cloud.
But in the end, Triple J, as a PC gamer for a couple of years, back in 2007 until like 2010 to 2008 or 9 or something like that, I don't want to spend a monthly subscription just to play games from 20 years ago because I could also get it on the emulator. What can Nintendo do about that? They can't do
Get
shit.
emulators to work. That's good for you, but like emulators wouldn't work. I'm like, well, actually, the emulator did work. It was getting my PS3 controller to be recognized
Well,
through the emulator.
Well, it depends on what emulators we're talking about here too. So it's like yes, the newest emulators now are the most pristine of its kind to play the original games, especially if they're compatible with the Bluetooth controllers like the Xbox and PlayStation 3 controllers. So, but it's I wish we could stop this from happening of Nintendo going monthly subscription style on to their fan base because obviously yes, as we get older we get more money and we spend more money too, but Nintendo should know better. They've been around, Nintendo's been around since as early as the 1890s, 1880s, and
80s.
yeah, as the name Nintendo, as the name Nintendo.
maybe even the 70s. I know they made like a Pong console that was released like in 79.
I'm just referring to the company itself because the name Nintendo goes back
Yes,
that far
the
back.
company was the company that made the Pong console was Nintendo.
Okay, all right. But I'm just saying, like the Nintendo, they were a card company, like actual like cards. They shuffle cards back in the 1890s, 1880s. So, and then I read this from a book called Game Over. I think I mentioned this in the last year in one of the podcasts, and it was by Peter Sheaf, and I read about halfway through it, and he explained that how Nintendo's been around since, for, like I said, how long, and and by 1970s and 80s, they got involved with the gaming market. They wanted to hand it, and they did a good job of making good games. From scratch. That's like they're not only they're also the developers, but also the publishers as well. So that's a double whammy on Nintendo's part. So it's kind of like a homage, you want to call it like that, like like Nintendo knows better not to just do that. Do I make sense? Do you understand where I come from?
I can't say I agree with it. I mean, they obviously want to stay competitive, and they felt this was the way to stay competitive.
So I guess that free service doesn't seem like eye catcher to some people out there, huh?
Yeah, especially with the chance to download these. Because keep in mind, you pay for the service. Once these games are released, you can play these games. So
yeah, but I have the Super Nintendo system or the N64 system, or I just go on PC and download the emulator and play it that way. And by far these younger gamers or especially our PC players, they talk their good talk. They actually know what they're talking about. So I agree with them on that part. I did it before. I still use the 9XSW emulator for the Super Nintendo games. And Kevin, our friend from high school, he gave me like 100 games almost on a hard drive, a thumb drive that I have. It's somewhere on my computer. I transferred recently. It should still be there, hopefully. But it was like over 100 Super Nintendo and Nintendo games. And easily, I can just get the emulator that's part of the file. It's a folder with several files in it, and the one specific file has that program to play the games. That's it. Who's Nintendo fooling?
I said, I played emulators before. They're not exactly legal.
Of course not.
But the thing is, some people, who are casual gamers who haven't played since the NES, SNES, Genesis, or N64 era, even, because keep in mind N64 is still over 20 years old. Maybe they got a Switch and they said, "Hey, I can revisit these games," and maybe they're a casual gamer. Casual gamers aren't going to go through the trouble of adding emulators and ROMs. And
I try to explain that to my Xbox friends that are into the PC market like that, the PC gaming, but they don't understand where we come from originally. So I'm stuck between the two generations, where it's like the younger gamer under 25, 20 years old saying that, oh, I can go online and download the emulator and play that way with my controller, with another controller port or whatever, and that's it. And I save tens and if not hundreds of dollars easily. But
and also one thing I learned with emulators, which I should have known, or maybe I didn't know, just because you have an emulator doesn't mean there's a ROM of every single game.
Okay.
So you might be out of luck depending on what game you want. There were games I looked for ROMs of and couldn't find. I don't remember what they were because this was years ago, but
well, now over the last 10 years, 20 years of especially the Nintendo systems like the N64, Nintendo, Super Nintendo, that you could definitely find most up-to-date emulators to do this stuff. I don't know exactly which ones are around, but if you look around the internet, you'll find them. Now, obviously, the average.
I know the N64 emulator is Project 64.
Yeah. Or Nintendo Dolphin.
I don't remember the names of the other ones though.
I heard the Nintendo Dolphin is the most recent one, or second most recent.
Anyway, we ventured off. I want cover a couple of these games, and then we got one more story.
Yeah, sure.
Mega Man: The Wily Wars, I would really like but like I said, I'm going for the Mega Man Legacy Collection on Xbox, so I can get um either all 6 or all 10 games that are on that collection. Um, but if I didn't have that, the Wily Wars is something I would go after. Um, Comic Zone, I played once on Sonic's Ultimate Genesis Collection. Um, it's all right. It's nothing. It's if you like a beat 'em up, it's fine.
Mm.
The other two I never heard of before. Ready to move on to the final story?
Yeah, why not?
All right.
All right.
Final topic. EA makes fun of single player games. The internet does not react kindly. They're 10, but they tweet unfortunate jokes. A joke made by EA's official Twitter account making fun of single player games did not go well for the company, and the internet's reaction forced the company to address its mistake. Getting on board with the popular meme, EA tweeted, "There are 10, but they only like they only like playing single player games." The tweet itself was a little odd given that EA itself publishes plenty of single player games, including Mass Effect Legendary Edition, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, and The Sims 4. But what started perhaps just a poorly chosen joke escalated once the post gained traction. Twitter users, including the head of EA's Respawn Entertainment, Vince Zampella, YouTuber Jacksepticeye, and the Game Awards host Jeff Keighley, all shared in the disparagement in the replies, while plenty of others made fun of and criticized EA in retaliation. Some tweets compared Jedi Fallen Order with EA's multiplayer Star Wars game Battlefront 2, which was heavily criticized when it was launched for its microtransactions and loot box system, while others pointed out that EA had recently announced a remake of the single-player Dead Space and another single-player game, Star Wars Jedi Survivor. The mostly negative 10,000 quote tweets and nearly 9,000 replies prompted EA itself to acknowledge the blunder. 4 hours after the original post, the company tweeted, "Roast well deserved. We'll take this L because playing single-player games actually makes them an 11." So, what do you think of this? What do you think of what was the EA basically making fun of single-player games and then getting roasted themselves?
Well, it's karma. If you attack your customer base, they're gonna attack back and not buy your products in the long run. And
Yeah. Well, they basically said you make fun of single-player games, but look at Dead Space, look at Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, which I think actually I've played.
Devil May Cry 5
Look at Mass Effect Legendary Collection.
and the Devil May Cry games, the Bayonetta games,
Well,
Mario.
we're talking about EA, so I don't know if they were.
Well, I'm just
they
saying in
would-
general speaking, general terms. Just gaming what as a gamer.
Yeah, so I mean, EA, they tried that joke. Some of the popular gamers, like Jeff Keighley, Jacksepticeye, which I've never heard of, but he's
Jacksepticeye?
apparently a YouTube. Yeah,
Yeah, he's good. He's good. He's a good YouTuber.
yeah, he's a YouTube gamer. I just never heard of him until the story.
Really? After all these years?
Yeah,
He's been around for like 10 years, Jacksepticeye.
wow.
He's like the baby of PewDiePie, pretty much. In comparison with his
Anyway.
subscribers, that is. So,
Well, anyway, he was So they basically roasted EA until EA had to post a retraction 4 hours later. So, I guess this is a lesson. Be careful on what you tweet.
not only that, wait another 30 years, 40 years, then you can make fun of single player games. Because by then, all of us older guys will be dead, and you can make fun of as much as you want of us after we
I
pass
don't
on.
know about that. I mean, I think single player because I don't know about that. I think single player games will always be a thing. They may end up becoming digital, but I think they'll still be around.
Okay.
Anyway, this was the 50th episode of the Let's Discuss Gaming podcast. The next episode will be on the 16th of July, starting at 9 p.m. Eastern. I hope you enjoyed this. Follow me on Twitch if you did. Also, there is. I hope you I hope you follow me tomorrow because I will be streaming tomorrow. Maybe UFC 4. I'm gonna do the thing where I put together my own card and let the matches play out themselves. Um, Anything you want to promote, Dr. Games 101, before we sign off for tonight?
I just want to say thank you guys for tolerating my sounds in the background wherever you hear it or see me moving around a lot. Just that I have like technical difficulties with my new computer. It's still somewhat new and trying to find out the dynamics of it. So it's somewhat old and it is model, but it's still new of its kind. So give me some time by next episode or two, it'll be fine.
So anyway, good. I hope you follow me. I hope you join me for tomorrow night's stream or later today, since it's past midnight, at least on the East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
Until next time, good night, everyone.
Goodbye.